true.
As we jump into this draft, let's try to zoom in a little bit. Maybe not zoom out as much as the standings and zoom in on the games at hand here. We'll see Orianna taken away. Talia, I mentioned for Bulldog being one of his better picks, also gone. Pantheon, maybe Wukong. You know, you and I were kind of going, maybe Wukong on the red side a lot, and it just didn't happen. Wukong won both games yesterday to increase his win rate.
Yeah, I mean, Wukong's right now 14-5. He feels like the best B1 pick because it goes with anything. It's great at peeling, it's great at diving. It can get picks, right? It's just really strong. It's good into other meta junglers, right?
And I think Sponge will play it. You know, I have to guess. Gwen and Rumble are still up.
Vi is also up. So if they wanted to, but I just...
See?
We're all on the same page.
Everybody's knowers, you know? Like, take the Vi out of the ban list. Maybe don't put Varus in there and put the Wukong instead, but either way. That's going to be the Annie pick here for Bulldog, so a pick that's relatively safe, blindable, and hard to punish. Or just pick Yunara into Wukong. A very confident choice.
With Rumble available.
Yeah, very confident choice to say the least, Valdez. It did not work yesterday. We were a little bit worried about what could happen. And I'm going to say I will continue to feel that way right now. Now they could even just go into a more dive-oriented composition. They could play Ahri even in this comp, I feel like, even though that's fallen out of the meta completely.
That's why Wukong is so good as a B1. You can just be like, strong. Okay, they have Yunara, now we can just go dive. They're going to pick Gwen. So no Rumble here. We've definitely liked the Wukong Rumble combination alongside of mid laners that can also dive. Also thinking about an Aurora.
I think Aurora is incredibly powerful into Yunara as well. The zone control she provides makes it really difficult for Yunara to enter the fight safely, or she might just be out of the fight for too long and then unfortunately unable to make an impact before the front line is down. I actually prefer Vi to the Lee Sin here because it works really well with the Annie. And if you can get a pick initially or try to keep that Wukong locked down and then the Yunara gets that first kill, then things get a lot easier. And it looks like Pioshik will ultimately agree and lock that in. It's not an easy matchup into the Wukong, but they have a lot of tools to help set this up.
Yeah, I mean, Vi, I feel like, is good, as is Annie for this team, because it's very obvious. If somebody presses R, you got to go in. Now, what I'm worried about is that Pioshik presses R, and then everybody's like, that's not a good idea, and then they just leave him to die, which is not good, but relatively simple and relatively easy to play right now on this side outside of the Yunara. But
yeah, if Pioshik pressed Q on Lee Sin and went in, he could press W at least and back out if his team wasn't trusting. Let's see a ban on the Rakan, which does make sense. We did not see that yesterday, which left us scratching our heads.
DNF get it.
They get it.
You know?
The drafting outside of that Yunara pick into Wukong, looking like a step up from some of the drafts you saw yesterday. We'll see what that final ban is going to be, as a safe AD carry like Ezreal might actually fit the bill, even though Ezreal doesn't necessarily follow up to dive as well as Kai'Sa, or even Xayah, which is also available. And maybe that's just going to be where Teddy goes. He's obviously an iconic Xayah player. It's the same pick that Viper played into the Yunara yesterday as well. And here, you took away the Alistar. You could just ban any strong laning champ. Like, you could even ban Lulu here. I think Lulu works with the Vi really well, works well for laning. They're going to take away another engaged champ, though, in the Mbessa. And Mbessa is relatively playable into Gwen as well, as we've seen.
Yeah, kind of curious that they don't pick the Rumble for the ban. I feel like Rumble is a lot more common into Gwen than the Mbessa. So, yeah, seems to make sense that they just snatch it up there. By the way, also a great choice to pick up the Aurora for the team just to make sure that the Gwen doesn't get countered.
Yeah, that's a really smart point as well, actually. I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the great counter picks in top for that. I think we always knew this was going to be Xayah. The Rakan was taken away. Jhin works as well, but I prefer the Xayah here just for consistent damage output, especially when you're dealing with the Yunara. Like, if you end up losing your front line and you're trying to go toe-to-toe Jhin versus Yunara, you will never, ever, ever be able to outplay that as the Jhin. And the Nautilus comes through for some extra engage. Are they bold enough to go Lulu here? Quantum does love an Enchanter support. You know, he is a bit of an Enchanter support guy.
Rel, thinking to be the choice, definitely offers a lot of AoE engage. It's fantastic alongside of the Rumble. provides more frontline for the Yunara.
I look at these two drafts, and it feels very plain to see that Dudu has to carry this game. Like, his equalizers have to deny entry to team fights. They have to slow down the approach of this Gwen Wukong, because if you can use the equalizer to keep those melee champions away from your Yunara and then weaken those health bars to where Berserker can press R and start to clean up the fight, then the Rel re-engage comes through, I think it works out. I think the Vi Rumble is not going to be a combo you're looking to use onto the Xayah in most cases in this game. I think it's going to be more for mid-game pressure. In team fights, you can kind of re-engage with it. It's going to be flexible, but you don't want to be going into that meat grinder that is on the other side with the Xayah that can just press R and get away from you. So the Vi lost a little bit of value, I think, as the draft was completed, but the Rumble is still really strong here. Dudu's performance on it needs to be huge. We did see that yesterday, where the Rumble was able to zone and deny that one big Yunara fight.
So DNF stands for Do Not Fear. I just figured it out.
I guess so. I thought it was for DN Automotive Freaks, but...
No, it's Do Not Fear, and guess what?
They be fearless!
Freaks be fearless as well! They just... You got...
And it said, let's have a fun game.
Freaks be fearless. We got Fearless Draft.
I guess we'll see Nocturne in game 2. Maybe Fiddlesticks.
I don't know what to say, Wolf. All right, we got DRX up against the DN Freaks. Let's see what happens in game 1. Here we go, game number 1.
We are on
DN fans.
Yeah, we are on the DN Freak side, and I can tell you that that cheer sounded louder than your average T1 cheer. That was a very hopeful crowd, to say the least.
Desperate, perhaps.
Perhaps both.
Yeah. And the cheer is, of course, DN fighting. Just
that also
shouting
works
out the
out
sponsor.
for DNF as well.
Yeah. Whoa.
Do not freak out. Also could work.
That's a good one.
Do not fumble. Yeah. Do not frazzled.
Do not frazzled.
There you go.
That's the best one, I think. Yeah. I think you did it. I think you got the best one.
Do not feed.
Well,
look, they usually don't do that.
A little bit late.
They
for
usually
that,
don't do the feeding in the lane. The laning phase is fine.
That's true. That's true.
You know, it's just some of the later team fights where it's not really a feed. It's just a, you know, error of judgment.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's more of a team issue more than anything else. But they've still attempted to make some roster swaps. What did you think of Doive when he came?
I thought Doive had a pretty decent performance, but obviously he'll never have the same sort of knowledge that Pyosik has. And I think given Doive's early, you know, he's early in his career, like he just doesn't have accolades yet. He's not a world champion. It's hard to think that his voice is going to actually be the one that wins out and actually helps this team come together. Level 2 is hit here first for Berserker and Quantum. It's a matchup like this where you're not outranged. Yunara does quite well. You can just threaten Qs. She stacks those up. If you hit those Ws, the arc, as it's called, you get the slow, you can actually harass, but he didn't hit that one.
Yeah. Kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's still the Yunara just kind of wins every lane situation, especially when Varus is banned. It's like, well, just kind of sit here and get level 2 every single time. We've seen that, you know, every duo that goes into Yunara, like everybody knows already, they just play super passively. Like they take trades on the first wave, and then after that, they're like, okay, this is over. Let's just get pushed in.
You can think of her Q almost like Jinx getting excited. She could just kind of press it once she has it stacked up. So you'll never win an auto attack trade against almost any champion unless you're playing, you know, something that has a, you know, like a Lulu, excuse me, with you, and you can just kind of shield, and then, like there's some fancy stuff you can do there. You polymorph. But if you play a Varus or an Ezreal, you just don't interact with auto attacks and you try to weave your poke in. That's like the ways you could beat her in lane. But otherwise, in a matchup like this with a Nautilus, it's a little bit tougher. Another arc will miss. What a hook will miss in return.
Yeah. Actually a nice look. I mean, if he hits that, there's feathers on the ground. Teddy can easily auto a couple more times. Nice burst. Although the engage here from Quanto, even nicer. as I called him Quanto, maybe a cooler name, it's going to be a very cool play here to the new supports joining us at DNF.
Here, I think Teddy is just going to have to get out of here. Committing to diving a Nautilus, though, I think is not a good idea.
Yeah, there's no wave really left over, so Quantum is going to just back away.
Yeah, even going to see a TP to come down
Gwen.
here. It's just going to be a swap, and they're going to leave, as Teddy is already heading to the top lane without his support for just a moment here. Dudu will actually match the swap. Could have decided to stay a little bit longer there, but decides just doesn't want to fall behind in tempo. It's a pretty huge lead in terms of farm, as Teddy, who does not have teleport, is not going to be able to catch that wave that Dudu pushes in. The timing of this for Rich, a little bit inconvenient, you could say. Ando's actually going to set a trap here. This could work out incredibly well if they don't read it, and I mean, Dudu just has no idea.
Hide on bush here. Sponge is here as well. Dudu has to flash. That's not the flash you were looking for, and now he is absolutely dead as the exhaust comes through. Got a little bit close there, but still, first blood is given over to Rich as he takes him down. Nice play there from the side of DRX.
That's a great way to turn around the fact that you're stuck in the bottom lane as a Nautilus. You're desynced with your AD carry. Look for a play like that. He flashes to get the root, expecting there's just no way Dudu can react in time. He's not going to be able to get the flash away to deny the auto from going off. He gets rooted. Then you have the guaranteed dredge line. And with Sponge there, it's an easy cleanup. Nicely done by Rich. Having the exhaust as well just gives him just enough slow to get that kill. And this puts DRX on the board early.
Yeah, it's going to feel very good for them to get first blood to Rich's Gwen, something he's been very confident in. Issue right now is that Teddy is having his lane pushed away from him, and he didn't get his support until now. So still about 10 CS behind, and the Yunara is going to get even further ahead because the wave was larger against her. So definitely doesn't feel good for Teddy at the moment, especially after that early trade. Speaking of trading, Ando goes in. Ando goes out.
It's very tricky, but if you play it like Berserker did there, you can use your arc slow as a peel as well to get away, as an escape, so to speak, I should really say. But tough to hit is Bulldog's just going to look for a tempo ult.
Yeah. Speaking of tempo ults, we got another one here as a bunch of burst damage comes out from Yehu just to trade it back.
This kind of backfires a little bit.
This was on Vision. Piozic cleared a ward. We saw him doing that, and then he just started it up. Meanwhile, level 6 hit for Rich. Bunch of needles coming out towards Dudu, and he nearly just dies. Has to back away only because Piozic is here, but that's just a leash on the dragon. So DRX say, we're winning the bottom lane. We're getting the dragon. The mid lane, you know, it was basically a trade. It's not a big deal that Yehu is low because he's getting everything else.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, without Prio, it's hard for Bulldog to just hold his ultimate and try to come over and help out the Drake, and then try to deny Yehu from getting over there. So he kind of ends up trading awkwardly, and then Yehu gets the advantage. He can't join the fight. He has Tibbers, but without being able to actually get to the dragon itself, with the control they did not have bottom side, with Rich having the lead in the lane with a really nice ult. Dragon is going to go over. Not a bad, like, I don't think the decision-making there for DNF was wrong per se, but just did not work out the way they wanted.
See that Andal keeps going in onto the Rel, and there is a big wave right here. Also, the Yunara is feeling very strong at the moment in this lane. Doesn't feel like Xayah does a whole lot into the Yunara at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's really tough, just especially with the lead that she already has, and she bought a Cull, so she is really going to kind of explode into the mid game.
She's had that for a while, actually.
Yeah, 67 stacks, so early back, grabbing it.
That was a cannon. That Bulldog trying to hold on to his stun, the classic Annie maneuver where you're like, I want to keep my stun, so I don't want to use my Q, and then you just try to auto the cannon and you miss, and it's like,
it's things like that make me not play Annie, because Annie is one of those easy champions, right? You think, you're like, oh, it's easy, you just stun, you press R, like, you win the game. And then you try laning against a really strong laning opponent, you know, bully like Aurora, and you're like, ooh, I lost a little bit of control, and now I just can't hit the minions. It's really annoying. Oh, I lost my stun. Oh, she all-in me. But I got the cannon, and now I have to TP back to lane.
Yeah. Can be very annoying. Bulldog hoping that it goes better for him here on the Annie than us in solo queue.
I mean, he's not really that behind.
Yeah, no, he's fine. But he did miss the cannon, so he's behind mentally.
He didn't hit the cannon and then end up getting all in by Yehu and lose control of the lane. So I think he's like calling worth on that one. Would have liked to get the cannon, but
Sponge just doing 3 grubs on Vision.
Yeah, Quantum is caught as well. There's nobody here.
Yeah. Quantum's like, shouldn't we do something about this, guys? Everybody's like, no. I mean, it's just grubs. It's not the end of the world, although this very strong Gwen and even the Aurora, I feel like, can use it pretty well, but
yeah, it's not like
how it goes.
The end of the world, but it is the end of turrets if they have a mid-game deficit.
Yeah.
And
it's a problem.
Yeah, it's not the situation you're often looking for, especially when the Gwen is already up a kill on the Rumble inside. Rich does not have Flash, of course, but Exhaust is going to be very helpful here in this potential defense. Doesn't have a stacked Q, is just going to ult.
Yeah, Dudu already tanking the turret, and he's not going down Rich as the turret shot gets him, and Pyosik even takes one for good measure. The dive is just a 1-for-1. So we got just more trades here in mid. Looks like Bulldog's doing just fine.
Yeah, they aren't going to really lose anything for committing Pyosik down there. He's the one who gets the kill and not Dudu, though, which feels pretty frustrating. An assist worth of gold will go over to Dudu at least in this case, but see if this is a catch.
Oh boy, Yehu has this all too. Bulldog even takes a turret shot, and that's a kill going over to Sponge. Just a bit over aggressive after a nice trade from Bulldog means that, well, it's just going to be a kill for the Wukong.
Yeah, so this is the initial play here. Rich really deciding he wants to all in on the wave, but then is able to offer damage back as Pyosik goes out of turret range. And so the aggro is still picked up there from Dudu. And then here, Bulldog has a ward in the brush on the right side of your screen, and I think that's why he feels relatively safe to be up like this. But unfortunately for him, his support is too far away to save him, and the Wukong can engage from the Raptors, so nice angle of approach there for Sponge.
Yeah, you know, there was a time where Wukong couldn't go over walls, and then they changed that. And ever since then, he's been in and out of the meta, and right now he is the most meta jungler, I would say. Our
Next to Pantheon, of course,
well,
we won't see.
That's true. I always forget about him because, well, we've only seen him once. And he won very handily. It's very good. But yeah, the most meta jungler that actually gets played. You know, Trundle's up there. I think a lot of our teams still highly value Trundle. And for a good reason, like Sponge got 5 kills on Trundle. Was it Sponge? No, it wasn't Sponge.
Was it Raptor? No, it was
Croco.
Croco.
Croco, yeah. Croco got it yesterday. And they didn't win, but you could see the strength of the Trundle.
It's looking a little bit Berserker colored if you're a DNF Hoper right now. If you're kind of on the hope train.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say hype train, but on the hope train.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one who has a gold lead. He is going to cash in a call. He is going for the faster spike build we talked about yesterday. I don't know if he's going to have enough setup with the deficits they have to fight early, but, you know, maybe he could have a Yunara moment, which we're not going to make a thing, but
yeah,
it could be kind of a thing in this particular case, as they are going to try to come over and contest this dragon, but I just don't see the angle here.
It's too late. It is going to be a Chemtech Soul, by the way. Ondel trying to engage, but they just disengage because Yunara does Yunara things, and the Rel just kind of hops away as well. So, yeah, they just kind of gave that Drake away. It is double dragon given over to DRX.
Right.
And, I mean, it's going to feel very good, those first couple of dragons. Ocean and Mountain for just a little bit of extra tankiness against, you know, an all-in from the Vi, the Rel, the Rumble.
We're memeing yesterday when we coined this term double dragon, but it is actually extremely relevant because often at that moment you find out what the soul is, and then the value of double dragon can be doubly assessed. It's like, okay, you got the stats from those two, but also are you that much closer to soul point threaten? And DNF kind of high rolling on losing double dragon here in that it's a Chemtech soul. It's pretty good for Gwen Wukong, yeah, to be honest, but like it could be Infernal, right? It could be Hextech. Although, you know, it's not actually the greatest Hextech comp for DRX. Hard to have a bad Hextech one, but, you know, hard to proc that, I suppose, with this composition. But, you know, there's no poke, really. I just, I think for DNF, it's about where can you pick your battles. Kraken Slayer is done for Berserker. Where can you find the way to catch somebody, right? You know, jump out of a brush as Bulldog. If you don't have Pride, if you don't have control over the map, you're playing passively, you're letting the Aurora push into you, you're letting the Gwen threaten turrets. That's the scary part.
See Andil and Sponge roaming around like a death squad at the moment, just trying to find whoever they can. Looks like they cleared out that ward in the river too, so just really no vision. This is going to be spotted though. Koshik does clear that ward out. But now they know he's on the bottom side and they can roam even deeper into the enemy jungle and actually look for a kill on a Berserker. Sponge just kind of awkwardly going to run away from this one, but now the Ghost comes out. Sponge in an awkward spot. Now he's going on to Teddy, actually, who is going to be forced to use something, as finally we see him use his abilities. The flash comes through, the root under the turret, and Berserker just barely is going to get away.
See that reaction on the player cam, both relief but also frustration that he wasn't able to secure the kill there. Is able to trade his summoners for Teddy's. I think that's a trade up for the Xayah in every case because of the safety her ultimate will provide and the lack of safety that Yunara has in team fights, especially because Sponge still holds on to that critical ultimate for the next objective fight, which will be the Herald. Berserker also now down that critical ultimate, which is basically a necessity if you're going to be team fighting with the Yunara. But he saw the Lions, right? He saw the angle. That was a really good read by him, going on to the Xayah, knowing he could actually collapse there. Has his Kraken Slayer spike. It's just unfortunately not quite enough damage. At least he was able to at least escape after Teddy's perfectly placed root there. So close to getting an even bigger advantage over his counterpart, but not able to get it.
Yeah.
Bit of a tragedy.
I mean, like you mentioned, Yunara Berserker is the guy that you have a lot of hope for. And if you are a DNF fan, I do think that with Nautilus, with Ghost as well from the Unsealed Spellbook and Flash and his ult, and Wukong in the same place, you can't really fight. They're going to fight anyway. Let's see how that goes, because I think as DRX, you could just look for Yunara and engage onto her, as now that's a very nice wombo combo from the side of DNF, but they're really not doing all that much. Finally, the Timbers does come down, but it's 2 kills to the side of DRX. The issue, though, being is that Berserker is still alive, and that is very scary for DRX, but still picking up 2 kills, not half bad.
Yeah, who has TP? They could actually look to contest the Herald itself, which was not taken in the fight. DNF, I think, are wisely going to try to push this mid turret instead. They have even Tibbers here to back that up. Berserker, unfortunately, going to take a turret shot. They decide not to commit fully to the mid turret, nor do they commit to the Herald, so they end up almost winning a fight, giving over kills. And, like, remember I mentioned at the beginning of this, Dudu has to carry. He's here just in time to capitalize on this fantastic re-engage from Quantum. The equalizer really couldn't have gone better here, but they still can't secure the kills. Like, Berserker, once again, so close. If he had his Ghost here, you know, maybe there was a higher value in that fight. Like, if he was able to close that gap, maybe there's a world, but now DRX regroup faster, will be able to get this Herald. And it's, you know, just another unfortunate objective loss here. I mean, DRX have objective feats of strength. They have all the grubs. They have both dragons. Now a 4th in the bag. If there was a 4th objective feat of strength to pick it up, they'd grab it. This Herald belongs to them as well. And that will likely just be mid-turret at the same time as the dragon spawns. I mean, this just doesn't get worse for DNF.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue. Rich here. Just going to Mega Cone his way over to the bottom lane. They don't need him, as what happened here. We are going to have a charge, it looks like. The Smite, though, available, so we're not going to have a crash. Start of the charge, but no finish there. Some good ward control coverage from the side of Quantum. I do have to say, regardless of how this game goes, he has had a very stellar early game.
Absolutely.
Coming in as the new guy.
Looking like a big upgrade right now. DNF still wrestle that pry away. They defend the Herald charge, so this is an ideal scenario for them. Berserker doesn't quite have his Ghost back, but it's almost ready. He has ult at the ready too. They need to be really careful how they engage this. Dudu's equalizer placement could just be for zoning if they can get that dragon low.
All right, just doing a ton of damage to this dragon. Andil going to go on in, just presses his ult on a Berserker. They're zoned away, but a lot used here by the side of DRX is down to Andil. And finally, the Wukong will follow up, trying to just chip away at that front line. They already got the Annie. The burn on a Pilshik is enough. And they pulled off of the dragon at the same time, as Pilshik wasn't there for the smite. And so DRX take another big fight here and another dragon.
Just too many tools for DRX. Like, Dudu, again, has a perfect equalizer given this scenario. He's so patient with it. He waits for the engage. Like, Ondil's engage is a little bit haphazard, to be honest. He gets under Berserker, but the follow-up isn't there. Then they try to close the gap, and then the equalizer is there, but they just can't hold on to control. Like, Berserker doesn't do enough damage yet. Look at this. He goes in, doesn't hit the hooks, just commits the R. And Berserker can't do damage at this moment. Now starts to, of course, hit a Nautilus. The equalizer comes through, but look at the value from Sponge. And, like, there's just no way to get in and do more. They just can't. Dudu's already used his ultimate. And, I mean, you're just going to go into the meat grinder of Gwen, Wukong if you try to push in further. Berserker's like, I autoed as much as I can.
Yeah.
I just don't have anything else in the tank yet. I'm sitting on an item and a half. Teddy's on 2.
I mean, they just have too many answers for the Yunara. Like you talked about it first. First pick Yunara, and then they already had Wukong, and then they picked Nautilus and Aurora. Like, it's just, this is way too many things to deal with. And Berserker, like, all Ondil had to do, even though he just essentially hooked the wall, pressed R on Yunara, and then died. Like, that's all he did, but it was still very effective. Like, that was Ondil's job. He's like, what is my job? You press R on Yunara. He's like, oh, God. Well, it's a very important one, and if you don't have DPS there, it's going to be a big issue.
And it's like
you called it. Like, Dudu's got to do a lot of heavy lifting if Yunara doesn't exist, but he can only do so much.
If he had, you know, a Zonius, or even if he had like an arm guard, maybe he makes a flashier play there. Maybe he like literally flashes in, tries to hold Q and go golden, and maybe that's enough damage for Berserker to clean up. But he just doesn't have the money for that. He doesn't have those items. He doesn't have those tools. In the game state here, where DRX again control every single objective, and DNF just have to wait and scale. The Runins is done now, as this is optimistic Ondil.
That's what they call him, optimistic Ondil. But yeah, just exerting pressure, I guess, fighting over banana brush control. There's no objective here just yet, but there is Otacon, so just trying to fight for bottom side. Yeah, Teddy gonna try to turn around as his team comes up. Here comes Quantum. And now a stun on Ondil. Looks very much caught out. They have tons of stuns, and it is going to be enough to take down the Nautilus, so nicely done by DNF.
Berserker really is seeing blood in the water. I mean, he's got lethal tempo. You get on top of that Zaya, you push her away. Teddy can't really match that fight, even, you know, with the items he has. Like, the Runins isn't going to get value in a 1v1 that much, but obviously, Teddy's just sitting there going, well, I need more support, and Ondil's out of position, and then the whole thing collapses. And Quantum had, like, poor man's flash because he had Ghost and Heal, so he can close the gap. And Berserker is just not pulling any punches. He knows that he can straight up go toe-to-toe with the Zaya in a 1v1 in the mid-prio fight, and he is just not going to give Teddy any quarter, despite the fact that Teddy's 2-0 and won this game. If he can continue to apply that pressure, maybe they can find some angles, because it's still a sub-2,000 gold lead here, and he is still the only gold advantage in any role here for DNF. You can see his damage is below Dudu's, but that should change as this game goes on.
Yeah.
And it's a Chemtech Soul. You know, DNF can let 3 dragons go over, sit back, and maybe it's an Otacon attempt from DRX that goes wrong that gives them an opportunity. Like, they still are in this game, and it's just going to be hard to play out.
Yeah. I think smartly, DNF haven't made any big maneuvers at the Otacon. We've seen a lot of our teams do that and fail. And you know, you got to be very careful, especially when you're getting chipped away at, and they have a lot of engage plus Yunara. It can be very dangerous. Trying to take down Yehu here, like the angle on the Mega Cone, but is it enough damage as he just hops away? He is Aurora after all. But a nice try. Pioshik doesn't quite get his ult off.
I'm not quite able to do so. I don't know if this is the angle Rich is really looking for there alone. We'll back away. DNF didn't have full vision, so they decide to not interact with that, but it could have been a backfire there for Rich, who has a 300 gold bounty. There's a lot of bounties, actually, just looking at the list here. For the paltry lead, you know, 1.5k, there's almost that much in bounties on the other side. So pretty significant, like, swing of gold could happen if DNF win a team fight. I mean, I think this game looks a lot more one-sided than it could potentially be if there's another Wombo combo, right, with Quantum and Dudu. Quantum's got his flashback. I'm really on the hope train right now, Valdez.
Okay. gonna be secure here from Pyosik as now the engage comes in, but that's onto the Wukong. That's not the target you want this time, Quantum, as now Pyosik's gonna go in, provides a front line for Berserker, doing a ton of damage here on the left side. That ult, that Feather Storm was totally useless, and the Feathers do not get called back onto anyone. DNF win a fight.
All right, look at that gold lead vanish, down to 300 now. And I don't think Rich is going to be able to do anything to contest here, even with Ondil's help. They're just going to have to back out, even maybe looking to try to push the mid-turret, but Bulldog's one step ahead. Yeo looks for the steal with the weirding, isn't going to be able to get it. And they're going to actually pull to Otacon. This means the mid-turret should go down. In fact, it will, but I think this is definitely going to be calling worth here for DNF if they could secure this.
I mean, they're already getting poked down a little bit. They got to be extremely careful about this, even in a 5v3 situation.
I mean, Sponge coming over.
Ult's coming in. Like, look at Pyosik's health bar. This call, he's just dead. Yeah, who just kills him? And they don't know how to smite anymore. And guess who's coming on over? Rich trying to do some damage, but he's going to be taken out. Doesn't quite work out. They only get Pyosik. This Otacon will go the way of DNF. There's no smite, but it doesn't matter because Sponge is not here either.
Yeah, Ondil didn't have smite. He looked like he was maybe going to go for the dredge line steal, but decides not to. This moment here is everything that can go right, and this is like Quantum being like, I deserve this spot. Again, finds a fantastic engage, and even though it's onto the Wukong, this is great communication between Pyosik and Berserker. They are able to get over the wall. Berserker uses his empowered dash from his ultimate to chase there, and then boom, Bulldog drops the ult on top of Teddy after he has no escape anymore, and they just delete him. And here this is optimistic playing around, like you said, the shredded resistance is here. Yehu's like, I have so much damage, I can take out the jungler. But the rest of DNF was rotating down. They had the man advantage. Teddy and the Wukong are just not here. Like, they cannot get here in time, so Sponge is just trying to run as fast as he can, but it's going to be a big win for DNF, and the comeback is now theirs, and this has been some of the best coordination we've seen from this team all year, and maybe just changing one player in the support can make that big of a difference.
I mean, that shows you really the importance of the support role. I mean, we've seen some really high-level supports in our league. We've been very grateful. I've been very grateful to have so many of them. And Quantum is trying to join the list right now. We have an equalizer here in mid, so they're trying to set something up. But yeah, I mean, they oftentimes call the shots. So we see a lot of engaged supports, and Quantum's playing one of the most important ones that we've seen so many big plays on, even from some of our junglers back in the day. You think about Owner's Rel play. Just gonna go for the Baron.
Yeah, this is pretty risky. Bulldog has an idea about this. Quantum has his ult available as well. I don't know about this one, DRX. It's gonna have to be a great turn. Sponge no flash, but he's in position to Warrior's Trickster ult.
Oh, they're just gonna try to burn it. They're not even turning. Okay, the turn is kind of coming in here. A bit of a go on to Pyosik. He's getting low. He flashes out of the pit, and that means there is no hope for this Baron. And a bunch of needles coming out. It looks like Rich is too low. They should be able to take him down, as does Berserker. But DRX got a full Baron out of that play.
Yeah, surprised to see the turn away and just not looking for the smite steal. Pyosik does live, but I feel like if you get that, you could probably still win the ensuing fight, at least get some chase and push DRX away. Ultimately, they get Rich only. And this fight is pretty broken up, right? I think DRX, if they had turned faster, they probably crushed this. But instead, they really want to hold the Baron, and it's the late Aurora ultimate here. And then Pyosik is like, not in smite range, going to flash out. Rich goes for the chase there, which ultimately ends up being his demise. And I think DNF realized, okay, we could probably get some cleanup kills here. And then they're like, that outer on the top lane is still up. We're not going to be able to get anything further. See what the Baron gets done here for DRX, though, because they do not have any tempo on the map right now.
Sponge doesn't have his...
Splash is so close!
He doesn't have his W either. He's just dead. That was very, very sad, very silly. And they just get the Baron buff away from the DRX jungler.
I mean...
And a nice skill.
Are we seeing DNF be decisive, Valdez? A little bit?
If they're proactive, it gives the Unara so much room.
Yeah.
If DRX are the ones engaging, sure, the Unara's going to have trouble. But we haven't really seen DRX have a solid 5-man engage as a team, right? So,
I mean, they're going to get the inner turret and top lane with the Baron buff. Yehu just camping this. He had TP, so he can make the call to do this. But it's in trade for Berserker picking up a turret bottom side. Sure, not the same level of turrets and outer, but he's got so much money. And you know, sometimes when you don't win fights early, when you go for the Bork Runins or the Kraken Runins build, you feel pretty bad about where your game state is, but they were able to win fights despite it later on. He has IE now. He is incredibly strong, and he's just picking up more and more gold with these turrets that are left around the map. And he has a massive lead over Teddy. I mean, he had a smaller one earlier, but he's just really the main character here, and DNF have been playing around him so incredibly well. And even though we think, and I think we're right, that DRX have a great comp in Yunara, they haven't been able to group up and fight properly. The Baron turn was really poor. We're just not seeing a normal 5v5 out of this team. You know, we haven't since really the mid game.
Yeah. I mean, if they press their buttons on the right targets, still an option. Andel going to go in here, but that is on a Quantum, who is going to smartly disengage. The rest of his team had already just kind of run away.
I mean, this is a Chemtech Dragon here. DNF shouldn't overcommit, but I mean, they have a nice angle to potentially flank.
All right, looking for Andel here. That's a ton of burst damage. They take out the support of DRX, but immediately down goes Quantum as in goes Yehu, kind of going insane on the Aurora, and not necessarily in a good way. He's going to be taken out. Meanwhile, Dudu is going to be pushed away from the fight.
I think he can still escape, though. I don't know about a re-engage here from Teddy. Does have his ult and flash, but the target selection, I mean, who are you really going to go on here? Berserker down his summoners, but he's got his dash back, and they've got an Annie here. This is a really risky situation for DRX. They want the soul badly. I just don't know if it's realistic.
I mean, Dudu has TP, so eventually this just becomes a 4v3. They smartly just wait, and the second the TP comes out, maybe DRX were just kind of posturing to make sure he TPs in, which, fair enough if they are, but yeah, I was worried as well that they were just going to kind of send it, especially into the 6-0-4 Berserker Yunara.
And like, if you're Quantum right now, think about how long you've waited for this moment to potentially finally be starter and how much of an impact he's had this game, and then the punishes he's had on someone who also he was playing behind on Kwangdong as well. In Andil, he's got to be feeling doubly good about how his game is going, because it's starting to feel like a pretty big gap in terms of the impact here of these supports. Yeah, he's 0-4 and 9. He has an extra death over Andil, but I don't think that the impact of these two supports can really be equated. It's definitely Quantum who's done a lot more heavy lifting in this game and often sacrificing himself in order for those team fights to work out. Berserker has a perfect KDA. You can see them on the player shot every time. It looks like he's like pulling the weight off his shoulders because he knows that he is so important. He cannot make a mistake. He cannot get caught. He's got a shield bow now for some additional safety. And it starts to feel like DNF have done what they needed to do in this game to get over some of the hurdles and potentially win this one. Sure, there's still a lot of problems in terms of the engage tools, but Berserker has proven that his team, both his positioning is good enough and his team knows exactly how to play around his weaknesses when he's down summoners. And now he's level 16. As in, you know, big ult. I am liking the position here for DNF quite a lot. I'm just going to get this inner here for free.
Yeah, Pilsik actually pushed through the enemy jungle, put down a control ward, cleared out everything, and kind of said, well, we pushed the Xayah top, so they're probably all topside, so kind of a free push in mid. Just little things like that can get you into a position to, you know, hit an item spike, or at this point, I mean, the spikes aren't really being hit, but like another completed item, another step ahead, you know, maybe an elixir before an important fight. Berserker has so much more gold than everyone else in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The most damage.
They've been given all the turrets to him. You know, he has Cole he cashed in earlier, nearly 40 CS lead over his opposition.
All he's got to do, stay safe in a fight and use that damage, and DNF have a legitimate shot at winning this game.
He's even got a BF sword additionally on top of all of this damage. He's soon to have a GA. If he wins this fight, he might not even need to buy one. They might be able to end, and we are 32 minutes into this game. And I don't think there's a scrappy fight where two people walk out on both sides. I think it's going to be a sweep, whoever wins this fight. The quantum angle
of the engage here. It's on the Bulldog. I mean, that is a decent target, but he gets the timbers out, and that's not going to be great. They finally do get Bulldog, but look at this front line. Just burning. Teddy goes Teddy! Nearly takes off Berserker's head, but that means that he loses his own, and now Rich is going to, go golden. But I think eventually, yeah, he just goes down. DNF win a very important fight, and we'll look at the Baron.
Yeah, they are pretty low here, so, you know, with the timers of the death respawn timers for DRX, I think an end could have been possible if they had a wave, but they don't. You can see the wave is actually in mid. Yehu pushed that out, so they're just going to get Baron. Can reset full, use that Baron to siege the base. I know what everyone's thinking, right? Situation like this is probably the fight you thought, surely DNF will throw it away again. But I mean, look at the situation here. Berserker is so well positioned And Quantum is there to set up the engagement. He also gets to, in this case, re-engage. And Teddy looks very similar to play to what we saw Viper do yesterday on the Xayah, trying to execute the Yunara to save the game. There's just too much peel. He's too big to fail. And I don't think DNF are going to lose this game. I just don't see any way. I think this game state and how well they've been playing together, I mean, this is the best coordination frankly, I think we've seen since like LCK Cup for this roster.
Which was like February.
I don't want to, you know, say like I'm jinxing. I just don't think jinxes are going to be real in this one. I think DNF done it, Valdez. Like can confidently say I don't think there's any chance.
I think given the current form of DRX in this game, I would agree. You know, the all-ins onto Bulldog, onto Quantum, onto not Berserker are giving me pause. And DNF are loving it. They're playing it really well. Like, not to take anything away from them. It's just the fact that DRX are also at the same time not really hitting those beats that they need to. Like, even that fight where Ondel kind of just went in and died and just pressed his R on Berserker, like, that was fine in the mid-game. But we're not seeing any more of that so far.
That's when, like, Berserker's like, well, I just can't do enough damage, right? I don't have the items yet. I'm on 1.5. I got a Zeal, man. Now he's, like, full build.
Yeah.
GA's at the ready.
And his teammates also do a lot of damage, too. So now it's, like, the conundrum of, well, if we int for Berserker, maybe we just died everybody else, and Berserker has GA. So now you've really put yourself behind the 8-ball.
Yeah. Like, this comp shouldn't be allowed to get to this point. And DRX with a few fumbles. And, I mean, now this is just going to be straight up free Dragon here. Again, it's a lot of healing and shielding power that might not necessarily matter in this game. Man, he's got a shield. You know, there's some...
Rel?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He's got a shield bow, Berserker.
Yeah, okay.
But, yeah, I mean, the soul would have been fantastic for Wukong Gwen. But they just look like they're not ever going to get it.
Vi and Rumble both have a little shield?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, for me, I'm looking at the soul now. I'm like, okay, extra resistance is extra damage.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, the fact that they're one away, and if they get that is going to be quite big for their chances in this game. All right, looking for something. We got the big zoom in from Jonah Strong. He could feel it as they're trying to go for the front line. Pretty much anyone, and they're just going to press their buttons on a sponge. And the follow-up from Quantum is huge. And the equalizer as well on top of it. DNF are too big to fail. And it is actually coming true. They will win game number 1 as Yehu is also taken down. And DNF are crushing it. The fans are already ready to cry. It's just game 1.
Did not finish today. Did not fail. 909 Berserker. He is the man to carry this one, but his team set him up in every scenario, and it's a crushing victory here. DRX had a nice lead, but it all fell apart. DNF. Another win on the board for Yunara. And man, that last fight, you could just see the, like, why don't we just engage on their engaged champions? Because if we just lock anybody down, Berserker will press R and delete them. He was forced into his GA, but he just didn't care. Because like you said, everyone's big at that point. And man, that's the kind of win you want if you're Quantum. That's the kind of win you want if you know you've got to win 8 in a row. And that's basically the minimum, okay, for this squad to go to play-ins. And if you're DRX, and this is a series that felt like almost unanimously you would predict them to win. They end up getting crushed in the first game with a draft that's so good into DNF's comp. They just got outplayed and outshot called. And the fact that I could say DNF outshot called any LCK team right now
anyone.
Is, I mean, that's this could be a turning point. I'm not saying that it's going to save them or send them to play-ins, but maybe they could play spoiler for the rest of this Rise group.
Yeah, you know, it's a start. Game 1, they actually take the win, and there you go. And just waiting for that DNF win is this guy, and they got to win one more, and they'll have another series win under their belts. They will double their series wins that they have so far. We'll see if they can do it after the break.
해볼게 다야. 내가 탱이야 내가 탱. 라인 지키자 나와서. 미도면 돼 얘들아. 미도면 끝나.
Just a little bit of time.
There's that red mouse pad. Yeah, it's very red.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's just unusual because most people don't have a red mouse pad. It's usually dark or sponsor colored, but here we go. Pantheon, Azir, Varus. On the left side, though, where things get a little interesting, that Nocturne is banned, so do not fear. Still a thing because they won't be able to use the Nocturne fear. As Trundle is also gone.
Yeah.
See what this final ban is. They banned Orianna last time, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if they do that again. With a Nocturne already gone, maybe a little bit less value for that. Maybe banning a Rise.
You can just ban Talia and then pick Azir if they don't ban it, but instead it's a Sivir ban.
Baiting the Talia-Azir matchup, where obviously Bulldog will have the counter pick, but I think you prefer Talia in that case, but Azir has been stronger, so it's just kind of an interesting conversation to have. Of course, Yehu will get the first choice, and the Poppy gets banned, so that's what we're going to see. I don't think anyone's going to be first picking Rakan because Poppy is gone, especially with Talia available. And I personally prefer, right now, the Talia, actually. They want to respond, so I guess.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
pick first.
They ban Nocturne and Trundle, so they just want to first pick
Yeah.
a jungler. That kind of goes with anything. It does give Azir first, and Skarner very good into the Xin Zhao. If he charges in, you impale him, you kill him.
The reason I like Talia more is, first of all, it's a strong matchup into the Azir in general, but it also gives you a lot more global power and objective control. Like, Azir has one of the most teamfight warping ultimates in the game for objectives, but he's not able to use it to wall effectively. I mean, he can kind of do that, but he can't just say, oh, 3 of your players can't be in this fight for a few seconds, and now we secure Dragon. Whereas Talia can do that, so it can get you out of a lot of sticky situations, and she still has pick potential. She's got a mini Azir ult on one of her basic abilities. Azir does way more damage, so that's kind of the trade-off. Alistar going to get pushed up here, actually, into the first phase. Poor Andil had a weaker performance than I think we'd expect in Game 1.
Yeah, they kind of put him on Nautilus duty, and it just led to him going in and dying to Yunara over and over. So this time, he's going to have a much better chance. Sion being hover here, the Trundle is banned. Something we see all the time is the Sion priority skyrocket in that case, but instead...
I'd rather see Ornn, to be honest, with the draft they've already shown. But either frontliner feels really good with the Azir, and they are going to go for the Sion ultimately. Sion is really strong as a brick wall in lane. Very difficult to dive. Opens up a lot of options for you in the bottom lane, because you know that if they are trying to push your bottom lane, like, the Sion is going to be strong. If you want to play through bottom lane, and dive the enemy bottom 2v2, your Sion is going to be fine if the jungler tries to cross map. So very powerful, not to mention just the front line he's going to provide. And if he gets hit by a shove, Talia does not care. Or sorry, the Sion does not care.
Yeah. Can be annoying. They're probably going to need some kind of hyper carry here for Teddy, which wouldn't be too surprising. Would really like that Sivir, but also, you know, Azir Sivir we've seen many times, especially with this front line that they already have. So I think it's fine that they denied it from DNF, who do get first pick after the second phase of bans.
I want to see Rich play a champion that has a ton of side lane pressure to play through the Weaver's Wall rotations. You know, that's where you can get a lead over this Sion, sure, but you will crush him in side lane later. I mean, I think Jace is something we might look at in the past. Probably not really going to be the answer in this case, especially with both Sion and the Skarner there. Teddy has carried a lot on Kai'Sa, although I wouldn't say right now we've seen a strong, you know, target to dive on. It kind of alludes to Berserker potentially playing Ezreal here, as we'll see if that's the final ban. Ezreal has really fallen off recently. Yeah. We haven't seen him prioritized very heavily, but I think it's a pretty good shout in this draft. Corki also pretty good here.
I just feel like you're going to need something to deal with the two tanks. you know, you could try to ignore them and then say, you know, you've got enough damage eventually with your Ezreal.
I wonder what this Lulu ban means, because pairs really well with like Aphelios, Zeri, which
Jinx.
I don't think Jinx. I don't think DNF were necessarily looking for here. Makes me wonder if like Teddy Andil, Aphelios Thresh angle in the bottom lane, pulling a carry Aguma, as Senna works incredibly well with the front line they have, and since they're already so late game focused, it fits the identity of the comp as well. What's going to be the pick here? Because they banned the Lucian. Is it the Aphelios
Thresh?
Or Aphelios Tom Kench could work here as well.
No, they already have Alistair.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Alistair?
I was so all in on this idea, man. I was like, no, this makes sense. Come on.
You see bot lane picked 4-5 all the time.
Yeah. No, that's where my brain is at. So
The Jhin.
Apologize to everyone.
Again, these two carries don't really deal with the tanks.
I mean, give me something crazy like Aatrox, Camille. You have to hard win this side lane, Rich. You have to. You has to play through you. You need to be able to get on top of these carries and let Teddy follow up. Like
Nidalee. It's just Aatrox that's very much more in his wheelhouse. And Bard.
Bard is incredibly strong with this comp because he can set up so many things. Like he can set up an Impale, he can set up a Emperor's Divide, he can set up a charged Q for Dudu.
Yeah, he can also protect if Alistair gets a really good angle. I feel like DNF smashed this draft out of the park, over DRX especially.
Like the game one draft where we thought, okay, this is really tough to play the Yunara, they have all the tools, and I was like, well, Dudu's equalizers have to be really good, you know, it's going to have to be one of those kind of games. I feel like in this one, Rich has to crush lane, he has to be relevant throughout the entire mid game, they have to play through him super well, otherwise this Jhin can't function. The Talia isn't going to be as strong, and yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, but Teddy, the thing about putting Teddy on Jhin, I think this is one of the things that frustrates a lot of people about the Jhin pick in general. It's not a pick where you really do all the things. Your team does things, and then you're like, all right, cool, I'm ready to follow up on what you're doing over here. That's why I think Guma has been such a phenomenal Jhin, because T1 has some of the best teamwork that you're ever going to see in League of Legends. That roster has been together for so long. And so Guma is a fantastic Jhin player, but then his team always has the angles to set him up. This draft has some setup here, but I worry that DNF just have way too many options.
Just wait it out, and I think this draft wins eventually, which will happen in this game. Let's hop into the Rift for game number 2. Alrighty, game number 2, DNF. Got a good draft. They won game 1 very handily. They're looking better as a team with Quantum in. He is playing Bard, which is very difficult and a lot more... It's very different to the way that Rel plays, right? You know, Rel, you just kind of find the angle, you put your face into 3 of the enemy members, and you're feeling pretty good, whereas Bard certainly has a lot more finesse in this kit.
Do you remember, because I don't, and I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm sure someone will. Like, I don't remember, let's just say this, so Valdez is immune. The champ that Morgan was playing, or sorry, the champ that was being played into Morgan, that Dudu was playing, because Morgan was playing Cho'Gath, right? In that famed game that DNF lost, where they had an 11,000 gold lead. Because the comp was pretty similar to this, right?
Sion.
Or was it just Sion? So, like, because it might have been Sion, that's what makes sense in my brain.
They were playing Blitzcrank,
right? And
I remember being like, they're playing Blitzcrank and a Sion.
Because Berserker was on Senna.
Yeah.
So maybe the game plan for DRX is like, let them have all the scaling, because what works out for DNF most of the time is they get to the late game and mess it up. Maybe we'll pull a bro.
That's fair.
I just don't know if that's going to happen against this roster, as Berserker is totally fine with this exchange.
Yeah. Totally fine, gets healed up, you know, uses the tempo heal, and 2 summoners are actually used by Andil and Teddy. Heal and the barrier of Teddy. So Berserker, if he finds an angle, could potentially just try to ghost them down, you know, especially if the jungler comes over, which, speaking of which, Pioshik is in the jungle of Sponge. So vertical jungling here. Sponge is coming on over.
Yeah, this timing will work out for Pyosik, I think. Actually, not quite.
He doesn't have smite. I think he still gets it,
Yeah,
but like,
does.
I don't know if he gets away. Okay, very strange kind of early jungling here, but he will get away.
I mean, I don't think that Sponge was able to see the secure there, so didn't know exactly how close he was. As this is an interesting all-in.
Yeah,
Kind of works out.
chipping away at Berserker, who has been stepping up, just trying to stack up as much as possible.
Yeah, Berserker and, you know, trusting in the late game have been two things that go well together today. Did not work out for his Senna game last time around, but...
What happened here? Ondil's just dead!
Ondil's having a rough day, man.
First blood given over to Quantum. I don't even know what happened, but he got rooted at the end and died.
Yeah, I guess he just stepped too far forward and got caught. And, I mean, Alistra has 7 less armor on this patch, Valdez.
Yes, very squishy. Bulldog coming on over. We do have a TP eventually is going to land. Sponge getting pretty low. Bulldog going to walk away from that one. Here's Quantum. And you know what I like to see is 3 members of DNF going in the same direction. Didn't amount to anything, but you know, they're on the same page today, Wolf.
Yeah. I'm sure we will get a replay eventually of what happened exactly down there. Okay, speak and you shall receive. Ondo goes into turret. And yeah, stunned, and then...
You know, that armor actually does play a huge role in that early trade.
It absolutely does, and some of the earlier trades leading up to that as well.
He looked so squishy. It's kind of crazy. You can't just get free, you know, headbutt pulverize combos anymore because you will get punished.
I like that. I actually think it's a good change. Because it was kind of dumb what Alistra could do for a really long time.
Especially because he went, you know, Unsealed Spellbook, which is very common, but also, you know, if you think about another champ that goes in for short trades is Nautilus, you almost always see the Aftershock on him. I think we also saw the Unsealed Spellbook played by Undul on him in the last game, which may be part of the reason why he was dying there.
Another thing we just saw, which is part of why I'm on the Taliyah versus the Azir hype train, is that Azir saw his 6 and 8. 6 of those 8 are very recently, as Taliyah is just going to shove this Skarner away. You know, I think teams have really figured out how to play around this. We often see that trade of Taliyah Azir. I'd love to see the win rate of the matchup itself, actually, because that'd be really interesting. I would expect that it's slightly Taliyah favored, but the global impact on the map and objective control is just so powerful right now with how team fights are working in this meta. So we'll see if Bulldog can turn it around. Good performance there in that last little skirmish. Really nice juke on the seismic shove. Pyosik continuing to invade Sponge's jungle.
Yeah, it's being very annoying. Doesn't necessarily have to do this as Skarner. You could just try to farm it out, but he got invaded himself. Berserker gets engaged on here in the top lane, as now going to have to use that heal to get away.
Get Rich here. Like, Rich is donezo, man. I
think Dudu could almost just kill him alone, but either way, he's going to have Skarner here to help out. Pyosik with the last hit. As Berserker just backing right in front of them. My guy.
Gets hit by the captive audience damage there as well.
Jeez.
That was very scary, but man, Berserker has been known to play on the edge. I don't know if he should be playing on the edge in this case.
He's gone berserk.
All right. Well, that's a big win, though. Pyosik both gets the Krugs away and then has a really nice gank timing onto Rich. Rich is playing super far up, but doesn't have any defensive vision. And I really do think the Aatrox is a huge part of the win cons here for DRX that, unfortunately, just this is going to put a big dent in. Like, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, Dudu hits level 6, has his ult.
We got a dive bring in top lane.
Yeah, we do. Spawn just hanging out.
Shinjao waiting in the wings, but the wave is being cleared, so they don't really have a wave. Here comes the Taliyah as well, and they kill the Senna before any of that happens. Yehu gonna eat 2 turret shots, but he does get away. So ends up being a good dive for DRX, although Bulldog gets a little consolation prize in mid.
I do think that this is a really big win for DRX because this pushes the Senna out of farming both her souls and money. So, you know, Teddy this time has a pretty significant lead he did not have, obviously in the unfavorable matchup in game 1 into the Yunara. Pyosik doing a lot of work this game, but was unfortunately not able to get here in time. They also see him on a ward. He's pinged instantly, so they know the timing is really good. The Weaver's Wall here allowing you to make these types of plays.
All right, little sweep in the mid lane, yeah, who is fine because he's got his teammates nearby. It's all about the power of friendship. And so, you know, if it were 2v1, maybe they make a play, but they just call it off immediately.
Bulldog down a flash now, as they're actually trying to push the advantage further. Grubs are live, so this is a really precarious position here for DNF. Without the Azir ultimate, after that exchange, I just don't think they can look for any sort of impale fight. Dudu is Scion.
Yeah, still trying to get a good trade here and at least push him out. I don't think they have any delusions of getting the kill just yet.
Yeah, or even getting his ult probably, but they want to get prio. And they do have it, and they will get the grubs. In fact, it looks like all three will go over, you know, for some of the reasons we were mentioning just before. And this Talia is having a good time.
Those Bard heals, even when they're fully charged, are just so pitiful.
Yeah.
It's like, he does way too much. He doesn't need more healing, but like, it's just, it's like, why even, I don't know. Why even have them?
Look, Quantum's just helping, man.
He's doing his best.
He's like, look, I can be your honey fruit.
Yeah.
Honey fruit's stronger than his heals, but like...
What skin is that, by the way? I don't even... It's got like the little alien babies, or they're not. They're like little tubers.
They're
you know?
turnips, right? Turnips.
Maybe?
I think they're turnips.
I'm very curious what that is because they're pretty cute. They're like swimming in the cup, little mug. That's the healing.
I feel like he and the turnips are supposed to talk in Banjo-Kazooie voices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's some heals, it says underneath.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of Bard in a nutshell anyway.
Yeah.
Bard just doing Bard things. We talked about this yesterday.
He did, you know, find Bottles' molehill that gave him all his skills.
Yeah.
We can magical journey and stuff now. And get turnips. A maximum amount of turnips to follow. Yeah, not sure what skin that is, but Atlas would know.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah, he would know. He's like the one guy on our team that just always kind of knows. Going in onto Quantum. He does not have his flash. He has a ton of healing, but there are 3 guys here ready to eviscerate him, and eventually they will do just that. Sponge says, well, I'll take the kill if you don't want it, Teddy. And Sponge does pick up 1.
Berserker not even going to ult. Andil, are you crazy today, or he's really...
Oh,
it might
picked
work.
out of midair, and yeah, he still has his ult, so he's totally fine. Pyosik goes for the impale, but very much overestimating the amount of damage that he and Berserker could do to an Alistar with ult.
Yeah, I mean, I frankly overestimated it as well. I thought Berserker with the ult there was going to be able to secure that one. Bulldog once again does get a little bit of plate gold here for the skirmish since he wasn't involved in it. Not directly, at least. And that will be some consolation, but really did not expect that to go as well as it did, but the Alistar ult is still powerful. And that is also going to be another objective picked up here for DRX. So a few misses from Andil, but that one was a miss from Wolf on the assessment.
So more importantly here, Shanghai Scrolls Bard is the skin. I think that's the new line. Not like the newest, but the one before
Relatively
that.
new, yeah.
Quantum is very much playing the way Bard, you know, feels.
Yeah, just like you said yesterday, it's just Bard things.
It's just Bard things. He didn't have to be there standing on vision with no wards himself. Just kind of hanging out. But he will have to flash now.
He had flash in Magical Journey, so is he really in danger? Not until the next time he's caught. He's caught here and does ult to try to buy time, but Pyosik isn't there fast enough. If Pyosik's a little bit closer and there's no Talia here and he hits the impale after the combo or sets up a combo, then it's fine. Honestly, watching this back a second time, this isn't really Andil making a mistake. He's just playing aggressively and is able to capitalize because he has headbutt there, so. I apologize one more time because I think it was absolutely a great play there as he does end up helping secure the kill onto Pyosik. Now has his impale back up.
Yeah.
This Azir's getting bigger. The Senna's getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of have to sit back and not bleed too much, you know? They got an early lead, which was great. After that, you know, some good plays from DRX, who got the Dragon, they got the Grubs, they got some big picks. So, you know, they turned 1 kill into 2 on the bottom side of the map. So this is kind of what DRX have to do, you would imagine. You know, they have some options in the late game. They have the split push threat of the Aatrox. They have the Taliyah to help out. It's all the stuff you talked about during draft. The Jhin, you know, much better in the tanks nowadays than he used to be, especially with his modern build that we see. So there are still options for DRX. I still think that DNF got the better draft, especially given the propensity for both of these teams to kind of just sit back and do nothing. Doing a little bit of something, in this game at least, is DRX, and they definitely have to.
Yeah. Rich is still 400 gold behind this Scion, and still has yet to be involved in fights, but I think that's pretty normal because we haven't had, you know, the second big dragon fight where everyone starts to feel like they have their first item and they can actually force a fight. You know, that's where you really want to be making sure you can find something. Or Herald, right, which is also spawning in 90 seconds here. Rich does have, right now, his teleport, as Pioshik is caught, question mark?
Yeah, he's getting exhausted. They have the Jhin as well for the extra damage. The Sentinel is going to help out a bit, but Pioshik just walking in a straight line, didn't have anywhere else to go. And that makes it easy for another kill to go over to Teddy. I think he got it at least. He and Sponge both have 2 and are getting quite fed.
Wasn't able to get anything out of that Impale, and that's really unfortunate. This is a really bad timing to get picked. Obviously, the Herald hasn't spawned yet, but it means that DRX can control all of that vision. They have vision in the red buff pit, in the brush to the left of it, so all angles of approach here are known. And this is where DRX are trying to make this type of aggressive play, and it's Ondil once again who sets Teddy up. They get the root. Pioshik's then stunned. He's just kind of in a bouncy castle. Min is exhausted even, and he just cannot do anything. Tries to go for the Impale. It's just not going to work out. Down he goes.
Little play down here. Bulldog was, well, bullying Rich. We got TP coming in, but how long is that going to take from the Scion from the top lane? Bulldog, very nice divide. Taliyah coming on over. Dudu does get here, but it's 4v2 until, well, the rest of the team comes in, but Bulldog is already dead. And so DNF responding big time to that play just to lose Bulldog.
Yeah, that really hurts. I mean, it's a Scion, so if you just make the call, we're going to lose Bulldog, and Scion's going to push. You don't really feel good about that either. But with the fact that Teddy was also pretty close by, and he's Jhin, you're kind of like, oh, you know, this isn't going to be a numbers advantage game for us. Taliyah shows up. And I'm still so Taliyah-pilled, to be honest, Valdez, but it's working out in these types of skirmishes.
That's fair. She is very high-brow for a reason. I'm actually curious about her win rate. 9-4.
Yeah,
69%.
Pretty good. Nice.
Yeah.
Not sure about the win rate into Azir. I'm not able to actually check that.
And she gets played pretty often into Azir, or at least did. So
DRX are going to get this Herald for free with the timing of both the control they had topside, that pick in the team fight win bottom, the TP that was available for Rich gets him back up to the top side. I think contesting this with DNF's comp would be ridiculous, and they know it, and they decide not to go for it. And that means that, yeah, it's another big objective going over to DRX they can now utilize to try to get Dragon Prio to go for double Dragon. And I mean, they kind of have their choose their own adventure of a mid game now. Like, things are going the way they need to go for them to win this game. Berserker defensive here.
Yeah. Sponge is just so strong on the Xinjiao compared to Pioshik that in any of these fights, like, even if Pioshik were there as a 5, like, Azir and Senna don't have the damage yet, even if he hits, like, a big Impale. So we've seen Owner do crazy things from super low health on the Xinjiao. I feel like DNF really cannot fight anything that DRX want to fight, especially if Sponge is there. If he's not there, you know, you get, like, a little pick here and there, sure. It's going to keep you afloat.
I think the things that they can fight are Berserker fighting minions with Static Shiv in mid lane.
Yeah.
And Bulldog, if he's given some time, Taliyah's not in the lane, hit that turret with your Nashor's Tooth. Those are the things that they can fight. They can fight the enemies. They cannot fight the players. Not right now. Not in a direct sense. Dudu can hang out into this Aatrox and just chill. And that is going to be what he's doing in this one. They are actually grouping for Dragon here a little bit. As you can see, Quantum is rotating down. His ult is online. But taking a direct fight here is quite risky, especially considering Yehu does have teleport. Bulldog does not. So DNF could, I mean, if they fail a fight here, the game could just end, right? Like, you could just, that could be the back-breaking moment. So they need to be really cautious about actually contesting this dragon, and it looks like they know it.
Just do not fight and hope that it's Chemtech Soul again. Going in, actually, is Bulldog immediately going to get stunned. And we've seen a lot of Talias actually fail those rocks when the Azir goes in. So Yehu was very much on the money and on the ball there.
Yeah, a lot harder than it actually looks.
Oh, it's just Hextech Soul. Okay. Very different from game 1.
Yeah, that's the high roll on the double dragon. And with Talia and Jhin in your comp, it feels really good.
Oh, yeah. I think DRX are liking their chances right now. Big early lead. Hextech Soul on the horizon.
And Bulldog just doesn't even get the pick onto Yehu. You know, he doesn't waste his ultimate either, right? But like, it just feels like they're hoping to scale. It's a bit of a hope to scale. Hope DRX are not proactive. They have been quite proactive so far.
Yeah. It's been good. I was worried like first 5 minutes, but after that it's been good. Dudu trying to actually kill an Aatrox is kind of funny.
It almost kind of forced a flash. It was a little bit scary there. Remember, Dudu also still had ult available. Could have been really scary there. He could even tried to flash for it, but pushing an Aatrox out of the lane already is a pretty big win for the Scion in this case. And there's nothing to fight for here. Just want to remind DNF.
Yeah, you don't really have to fight for this vision. Taking a bunch of damage already is Pyosik, but so did Ondil. We got a wall coming down here. Pyosik will be forced to take a bunch of damage and just rock him into the wall. Meanwhile, Ondil is also taking damage on the front line. Sponge, he's the fed one, but he's nearly going to go down. Flash on in from Dudu, gets the job done. And well, Rich, I mean, trying to frontline here. They got a block for Bulldog. As, ooh, nearly gets Quantum as well on the backside. But actually a pretty good fight for DNF. They win it, and they get away. Meanwhile, Berserker's just farming more souls onto Teddy. Already at 57 here at 20 minutes. He's on pace. But DNF, very good fight there.
Yeah, I don't respect the decision of DNF to fight there, but I will respect how well they peeled and actually fought the fight out. I'm like, okay, you shouldn't do this, but
the execution
damn, you
good.
got hands. Yeah, that was actually pretty sweet. Like, this team as well, part of why I don't trust this team to actually fight that one out is because it means everyone has to be on the same page. You got to deal with the Weaver's wall, everything. Like, watch this. Because initially you're like, okay, what are we doing? Pyoshik's going to get shoved. Weaver's wall is going to come through. The Senna does not have enough stacks yet. Like, this is not a winnable fight. Like, at this moment, you just pause here, you're like, this is a disaster. But then, look at how well Berserker positions. They focus down Ondil. Pyoshik tanks it up. Dudu gets in here. He's able to show up with the TP that he has. Get on top of Sponge. Pyoshik lives here. The ultimate is fantastic. Berserker, they kite back. And there's so much CC to keep Rich at bay. Berserker's just constantly chipping away at that health bar. No one can close the gap on this Senna. Berserker doesn't even have to use his sums here in the fight. And it really looked good there for DRX, but DNF just simply outplay. And
yeah.
Rich did not do really a whole lot of anything in that fight. He just could not actually get to the champions. He didn't have the reach.
Yeah, he didn't have the reach. I mean, Teddy was doing a little bit. Yehu blew double combo onto a Skarner, right? So that's one thing that Pyosik did well, is kind of bait a bunch of damage into him. Like, this front line is extremely tanky, especially when you've got Senna and Bard right behind you. So you're just, if the Talia at this point with 2 items, you know, fair enough, like he's doing pretty well there, but like that's still not enough damage to actually get through a Skarner. So
I mean, I
very
think
nicely played.
They thought potentially, especially with how Yehu played that fight was kind of a foregone conclusion, that DNF would just walk away, be like, oops, we lost Pyoshik. But no, they just outplay it. Otacon start here for DRX. They have Weaver's Wall. They have a lot of critical summoners here. And it's going to be hard for DNF to enter. I actually really like this call. Dudu cannot get here without his ultimate. He's going to use it to run over, but he won't have it for the fight.
Yeah, we have a wall coming down, so Yehu says, cool story, but the Bard ultimate got to keep it alive. Pyoshik, he's in the pit. They stop it at 3,600. That's very smart from DRX, but already a ton of damage done to Rich. And that means that maybe it wasn't that smart after all. It's going to be a flip, though. The knockup goes on a Sponge. The timing isn't there. And 5 health, and Sponge gets it. That's all you need. Tons of damage, though, from Bulldog on the right side. Impale goes down onto the front line. Sponge will be the sacrifice, but he picks up the Otacon.
Now, can they get the rest of these members out? I think likely yes. Not the greatest chase comp here. They're going to look for a shove.
I mean, they should just be able to get Quantum here. I think reaching a little bit too far.
And Bulldog was the one who had ult. You know, if he was the one who was wrapping around there, I think it would have felt like a different story, but sadly, not to be the case. By the way, Berserker hitting a pretty good pace on his stacking. He's at 71 stacks at this point, so that is another win call we'll be talking about in a moment. But once again, feels like, DNF, I'm not sure if you could really fight this, but they play it so well. It's 5 health on the secure here for Sponge, and Berserker, his ult is fantastic here, but unfortunately was not able to get enough damage done, nor with this turret up here are they able to chase. And then this call with this ward dropped in here, I believe it's Teddy's ward. Regardless, doesn't matter. It's really nice turn there. Good reaction to see a free kill on a Bard. As this Dragon would be a huge boon for DNF, would deny Soul Point and give them a ton of extra time. And they do have enough prio. And with the rapid fire cannon done here for Berserker, I think they're starting to actually be able to just straight up 5v5 here.
Let's see how this goes. Ondil, nice angle, but he's going to be spotted, and now it's maybe just going to be another flip here as nice Bard ultimate onto Teddy, and that's the one guy, the setup, but the wall actually going to interrupt the Scion. But still the front line here of DNF looking pretty strong, pretty healthy, as Dudu just getting a big 3-man knockup from the side of Ondil, but the Dragon goes over to DNF. Bulldog on the run, he gets taken out. And now they just exit. They got the Dragon, though, and that's going to extend this game for so long. Yahoo! Just goes in, and it's actually going to work out amazingly for the team. They get 3 on the backside of that fight, and it looks like they'll get a 4th as well.
And I can't even fault Pushik for the play. Like, you know, that would seem like a slam dunk, but he just has enough health to get away. I don't even think he had Seraph, since this is very funny. Chase the Scion. Chase the Scion. Keep chasing that Scion.
Yeah, there's no Baron, so...
And then run from the Scion, ironically. That was a fight that looked like it maybe could have actually been the fight that gives DNF the win. Like, they were in good position, right? They had the combo on Teddy. Like, watch Teddy get caught by this ult, and then the interruption, you mentioned it in the play-by-play, is so massive here, is he's looking for the slam. Teddy gets out on flash as well, and then it's the damage from Teddy, but also Yehu that really does insane work here. The interrupt on Bulldog's dash means he can't get the backline access to look for the shove. Has to use it here a little bit more defensively. It's not really the angle he wanted. And then here it's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I've been looking for him, but ultimately ends up backfiring, and Teddy is able to get that follow-up there with the ult. Dudu gets chased down. Please don't show me all of that again. Now it's a 5,000 gold lead for DRX. Baron is in their sights, and it looks like we may have a series on our hands.
It might happen. I mean, 5,000
DRX
gold
always go to 3, Valdez. It's the rules.
Pretty huge, and at the same time, you know, DNF still have a ton of scaling, but I don't know, you know, I talked about the Bard, but also this comp, it's not the easiest thing to play out. It's not Annie Rel, you know?
No.
Like game number 1. So certainly going to take a little bit of finesse for DNF to try to just extend this game as far as possible. They got the Drake, so there's that. That's actually very important, you know, given that there is such a huge gold lead. Like, imagine if DRX were on Soul Point right now. How would DNF fight the next fight? I don't think he really can. Yes, okay, we're going to have a wall come down, maybe just trying to trap them, but they do have Bard, so...
That's kind of a win for DNF, actually a big win. Teddy caught.
Looking for Teddy, but the issue is, yeah, nobody can really follow up on that. A little bit of a overreach here. Ondil has to go into his own ult. Meanwhile, the knockback here onto the front line is gigantic as DNF just hanging out, and they get punished for it. Down goes the Skarner, and Dudu's just ulting away. Meanwhile, the rest of DNF just trying to run, but the lockdown here from Teddy is there. As we do have some healing. Dudu looks like he is tanky enough. As another big shot will come through, but they got Pushik.
Dudu does have TP, but without the jungler, and with the damage this Talia has, with IE also done for Teddy, I think that they just get this. So clear the vision. just to be safe, but I just don't see any world where DNF can contest this. And this is kind of one of those moments where it's like, well, can you actually win the game if they have Baron? They're going to double TP commit. With no jungler here, they just have to look for the fight win.
Yeah, I mean, Andal just going to flash away, and I think he just smite this down and go away. So that's totally fine for DRX.
That turret is barely standing here, but I think that alone will be enough of a deterrent of DNF for the follow-up. Maybe back a little bit safer.
Kind of stops some backs. I mean, it's annoying, but it's not really going to do all too much. I think DRX are in a very comfortable spot now.
I mean, DNF double TP to still lose the objective. They will get this turret as consolation. Bounty is, as you mentioned...
objective?
Yeah, objectively, they got it. And I think objectively, it doesn't change too much either. This attempt is one of those DNF moments, right? Where you're like, okay, like they use the Weaver's Wall, but you guys are fishing pretty deep. You're a little bit out of your depth on this one. Like there's a decisive call, but it's not the right one, and the rest of the team isn't there to follow up. And this is, unlike Quantum's incredible calls in game one, kind of a solo queue moment, it felt like there, and there's just no capitalization as Teddy is totally fine. And then the shove, I mean the shoves for Yehu have been great all game. And you're playing Skarner, pretty tanky, but will eventually get blown up. Now they're just gonna siege.
I mean, Yehu went for the tank buster build. It does a lot of damage. He's eventually gonna have Void Staff. And, you know, there's no MR outside of a Null Magic Mantle for Pyoshik. Got a bit there on Dudu. And is now looking for the angle here on a Ridge, but he is quite fast. Just gonna avoid the ult. Not really gonna amount to too much. I like the idea of trying to look for a pick, especially with the Baron push coming on in. And now we have a wall coming in. The knock back on the wall gets sponged into the base. Not sure if they actually wanted that. Pyoshik gonna flash on in. It's a trade of a couple, but down will go Dudu. And DRX will like that one.
Incredible synergy between Andal and Yehu in this, though. Like, Yehu is just like, just go on him, man. It doesn't even matter. I'm gonna flip him. It's done. I have the tank buster build, as you mentioned. And he doesn't quite have the Void Staff yet, but he still hurts. And, I mean, Teddy is also huge. And with no ult to delay the game from Quantum here, he's still got half that cooldown left. They can continue to siege. If they get any picks here, I think they just end. And maybe they just slowly push anyways. 40 seconds left on this Baron. They decide to play it safer and pull back for Soul Point. But now with this base open, I mean, how many ways back into this game are there really for DNF? Like, Andal's just like, I'm going, and Yehu's like, I'm here for it, man. I'm ready to flip him.
So funny that Sponge got knocked into the base by the Talia wall. His own team's Talia wall.
And he just doesn't care either, because he just gets out, and, you know, Dudu is just not that tanky when you're this far behind. Cleaver at the ready, Void Staff at the ready, double Cleaver. Get cleaved, Dudu.
Omega Cleave.
LDR at the ready. I mean, is he even a tank?
Yeah.
Let's find out right now.
It's the thing, Jing can kind of deal with this Sponge in an awkward spot, but he is Xin Zhao, so just kind of ults and walks away. And DNF they're just playing turret defense now, sitting back and trying desperately to not die.
Some next level observing. He's like, actually, in fact, Yehu delayed the push in the bottom lane. With a lead. Those minions were impacted.
Yeah.
This is not a Baron push, so I think DRX should be careful about overcommitting here. There are several wards that Bulldog and Dudu can TP to, but they're just going to go on Pyoshik.
Yeah, they're going to find Pyoshik here once again. The ult's totally going to miss. This Bard is also a miss so far in this game, and Quantum should be going down here as well. Rich has got the angle on a Bulldog, who is Azir, and has to flash anyway. The two of them, though, I mean, Azir and Senna do so much, but there haven't been any fights where they can really show off their stuff. Now, 10,000 gold the lead. DRX, as long as they don't do a DNF, they should be totally fine in this game. They're going to take down all three inhibitors and take the Hex Gates out.
DRX keeping the 3-gamer streak alive, Valdez, and putting DNF back in a rough spot in terms of potentially being eliminated for play-in contention. This comp is hard. you mentioned it earlier for DNF, but from behind, I mean, this far behind, practically impossible. And we've talked so much about how Bard is, when you're losing, kind of unplayable. But I do think the issue stemmed before the, you know, 5K plus gold lead for Quantum's performance on this. I mentioned he likes to play Enchanters, but it certainly doesn't look like it in this game. And it's a far cry from his incredible Rel performance in game 1. And I think from here on out, you know, we can be like, well, they infinitely scale with this Senna, but I won't. You know, some people might say, like, there's still a chance. Hold on, he's got 100.
But Wolf, there's still a chance.
Eventually, from his fountain, he can hit Teddy, and Teddy's fountain when he respawns. No, it's... This wall is going to be a little bit more effective than the last one, I think, at cutting Dudu off.
Dudu has his flash, so eventually he can just, yeah, there you go. Pioshik on the flank. He's like, uh-oh, I should not be on the flank. And he's going to just dash away for now. The chase is still on, though. So trying to bake into the base. They can't quite do it just yet. Not without the Baron. I think you just go Baron and you play it safe and push on in. I mean,
if you go Baron, and like for some crazy reason you're not able to end with that, you use the Baron to then get Hextech Soul. You know, it's, they have so many win cons, and they are literally camping the Baron for spawn with triple inhibitors down, 6 super minions pushing towards the base, and Rich in the lane where the only defense was there for DNF, where they kind of had that one pushed out a little bit. He's like, nah, not really. I'm on that. And with Baron and TP for Rich, just gonna TP back to the bottom lane. This should be the red carpet that DRX walked down to game 3.
Should be.
In theory.
In theory.
Double TP still available. This time, really not a great ward angle.
We just have to have one last fight, and that's going to determine how it goes. I feel like they should sync up the waves a little bit better. Ondil very low, actually. Going to take a turret shot on top of it all, so gets redemption. In goes Rich. He's just trying to find the angle, just trying to push in and take down the turrets. And Dudu quite low, actually. They have so much ability to get through the Scion. As the last shot is going to get it done. Berserker lands that ult. You see the chase here from Rich. In goes Bulldog onto that back line, but he's just getting shredded himself. And Berserker just distracted, trying to kill an Aatrox. It's not going to happen. The wallets are just too large, and we will have a series on our hands. Game number 3 is on the way as DRX take down game number 2.
Look at how that final push eventuated. I think if the wallets were not heavy, it would have potentially gone disastrously, but I think DRX are very aware that they could just play it like that because they had such a lead. And Rich was looking for some aggressive angles. Maybe that engage from Ondil was a little bit ill-timed. The follow-up wasn't quite there this time around, but either way, DRX do strike back against a comp we thought was going to be manageable for the side of the DN Freaks, but a few fights going wrong, and Yehu just having an incredible impact on this Talia. He and Ondil setting up so many picks, shutting down Bulldog at every turn, and DNF, Rapid Star here, the look with Bulldog and Quantum in the booth. They were close. I think they had a draft lead. I think probably most would agree. Berserker still did 40,000 damage this game, but they couldn't actually turn it into effective elims.
Yeah.
And now, once again, 1 game away from being eliminated from that play-in contention.
Yeah, there was a way for them, but the game just got too far out of hand too quickly. It was very nicely handled by the side of DRX, as that is a very scary Teddy, I have to say. Still a lot of discussion here in the booth with Oda now, and we'll see what happens here, guys. We're going to take a break and have the space. We'll be right back.
갈게 이거 봐. 천천히. 앞에 왔어 얘 노플이야. 자 내가 한번 드릴게 얘들아. 오케이. 나 공갈 때 한번 가를게 이거. 가자 볼게 이거. 나 이거 누구야? 암라인. 앞에 잡아. 세나 노플. 모노. 나이스 형들. 나 한파 다 하자. 해성성이야. 해성성 루틴으로 가.
We might see the Varus and Pantheon banned on red side. I would expect that. And obviously not in that order. Pantheon comes first. We
Yes.
know that. We have established this. The Poppy continues to be banned, as that has been a strong pick for this entire year, really. Very rarely let through. So strong into so many meta champions.
I'm a big Poppy enjoyer. I just wish we got to see more of her early on, but teams aren't valuing her as much as some of the other picks. Understandably, I mean, we have a lot of really strong junglers and supports, so it is what it is.
Really feeling the power of Yehu's global impact and take away the rise. I think at this point, with the mid laners that are removed, it's also kind of a strong tier list ban, just in general. But you have pick priority, but they want to take that away from Yehu. Varus, strong in lane, strong in the mid lane after you're out of the laning phase, and strong with poke. Just does too many things. I think will be banned eventually, but they'll take the Trundle first. Maybe Rich is playing Ornn. Or maybe they just think Trundle's really good, and he is. So, I mean, either way.
Yeah.
I remember early on when Trundle was being banned and played, we're like, I guess they're trying to pick Sion. And it's like, well, no, Trundle's actually just really good.
Yeah, Trundle is very good, especially that he hasn't seen play in the first couple of games. Pretty surprising for a champ like him if he's not banned.
I do think
he's banned.
There's a world where they try to set up some sort of Sejuani composition here. This Varus will actually be banned by DNF, interestingly. Teddy's a very good Varus player, but I think he would have been happy to first pick that, given the state of the draft with Fearless here. I think even DRX a little bit surprised. Haven't locked in that third ban just yet. There's a lot you could go for here. You could even ban the Orianna, which is relatively safe, or the Nocturne we already saw banned away. There's the Orianna they do opt for.
Yep, makes sense. I mean, even if, you know, you can't pick two, you just pick the Orianna first, and then they have to, like, steal away the Nocturne, and that feels kind of weird. And Orianna's very good.
Blind B1 Jarvan just doesn't feel great when you have no idea what AD carry you're playing into. But it is a tier list pick, and it is high agency. I think he's very strong, but I don't know if he's first pick strong. As Yone, Sejuani, kind of just hanging out there. I think a lot of our other mid laners would be like, I snap this right now 100%, like not even a question. Sivir also strong, but they'll pivot to the Nocturne at the last possible second really quick there. No Orianna, no Aurora.
To pick the Sivir into Jarvan. I mean, they're showing Jarvan and you're picking Sivir. I mean, yes, it's good, and yes, it's Teddy. But also, we've seen Jarvan picked into Sivir for the exact reason of you press your ult on her and she can't run away.
Yeah. I feel like we've got two of Kallista's best friends coming in here with the Nico Jarvan. I don't think we're going to see Kallista with it, though. The Kai'Sa makes a lot more sense. And this is a great comp here for DNF because the Sivir just got played into it. I was like, oh, Jarvan's a little risky. They could pick any AD carry and get out of that Cataclysm. Sivir Yuumi would be a cool throwback. That's an Ondil favorite as well.
Do it.
I actually
feel like you should play Lulu.
I think it's okay, but I also prefer the Lulu because the ultimate is just way more safety. And Yumi's ultimate, does she have an ultimate? Doesn't feel like it in team fights.
It exists. You do get to press a button.
Well, now I think you're looking for a ball carrier if you're DRX. If you're DNF, you're trying to eliminate that possibility. Even like Lee Sin, you know, or sorry, I'm not saying ball carrier. You're looking for pairing for the Nocturne. In my head, I was thinking about.
I was wondering. I'm like, wait.
I was thinking about the
where's he going
Orianna.
with
I was
this?
thinking about the Orianna ban that's right there, and thinking it was in their comp, and it's the Nocturne that's there. This series did throw me for a loop. I still think it was quality League of Legends, but
We do have Genji versus T1 after this, by the way.
Don't worry, I'll have my head bag screwed on by then.
Yeah,
We got a little break.
I went outside afterwards. It's like millions of people just milling around Lol Park right now, waiting for this series to end.
So back to like what they're really looking to ban is solo lane picks here. The Jace gets taken away here for DN Freaks. The Cassante is taken away from one of his old favorites, the Dusante. And in terms of engage, the Nico and Jarvan I think is alone enough. So just taking out these tanks makes a lot of sense. Because you can just straight up have a really easy setup and get your Jarvan Nico into a good position with them. Jax also off the board. You know, the Nocturne pick doesn't feel that great just yet in this comp. I mean, you have the Lulu to Wild Growth when he goes in, but I don't see any target just yet that you're really trying to go in on. So trying to set up something for side lanes and having a big win in the top side, I think does make sense. Took out the Cassante, they took out the Jax, but what is Rich going to be playing here? The Ahri is taken away, which is kind of good with Nocturne, makes sense.
Yeah, on the side of DRX, you just want stuff that goes in with the Sivir and with the Nocturne, but a lot of it is already kind of taken away.
I'm just gonna wait and see in this one. I don't want to predict. It's Rich who has to pick something strong in the top lane, and Renekton, one of the ones that's up, all right? We discussed the Camille before, which would have been another strong pick, but does kind of get hindered pretty heavily by Jarvan and Nico. At least Renekton can kind of dash his way through that and can still get access to the backline. Feels pretty good into Kai'Sa as well.
This Gragas feels really good. Like, it's great in the lane against Renekton. I feel like it provides so much peel for the Kai'Sa if she ever gets in any trouble. He can also set up engages and, like, force a bunch of spell shields early, maybe even Lulu ults and stuff. Feels very good.
I wonder what they go with for this final pick, because you could even just go for something that is pretty safe and sit back and scale with it. This follows up on Jarvan, Kai'Sa, Nico incredibly well. And is one of those picks that right now in the pool is pretty tough to hard counter. Silas is going to be the choice. Fantastic with Lulu. There's a lot of great ults to steal. Can follow the Galio. I think this is a masterclass pick here for Yehu. It's a pick that he's played a few times. I think definitely has the ability to carry on it. And this comp is kind of all in on getting into either the backline and taking out Berserker or just re-engaging. I think the re-engages and the follows that DRX can have with their own stolen Galio ult are really good. I mean, basically, anything you steal here outside of, like, the Kai'Sa ult, I guess, is relatively valuable. And the Sivir Prio you can have to then control the map with Nocturne does feel pretty good. I think both of these comps have a similar identity. I just think that it's going to be that if you thought of it as like a turn-based game, DRX go first, and we'll see how much they can get on their turn, and then the re-engages I think will often be DNFs. Not to say that DNF can't start a fight on their own because they have the Nocturne, but you don't want to dive super hard into all of this or the response will be swift.
Is that Patrick Starr?
That's right, yeah.
He's just hanging out. He's just here at the studio. Hello, Patrick Starr. Mr. Starr, good to have you. A lot of DN Freaks fans just begging for the win. They're like, please, just another one. We need a taste of the victory. And this time, you know, it doesn't feel like anyone really got a huge draft edge, differently from the other two games. Hasn't mattered so far. Let's see what happens here in game number 3. All right, the DN Freaks fans are going crazy as they hope desperately for a win. For DRX, it's very important too. I mean, you're trying to break out of the bottom 2. and make it into the 8-win bracket alongside of Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
And
right
try to
now,
keep your hopes alive of plans.
obviously D+, we've kind of put them in, they're almost like in purgatory. They're not quite in the Rise group in terms of scores. That can change over the next few weeks, of course, but you're fighting for going up there, and it's a 9-8-7, so everyone's just like one ladder rung away from each other. And this is the win as DRX you're expecting to take, right? I mean, only one team has lost rather to DNF this whole season. You don't want to be the second. It was Nongshim, of course, the first time around. Sponge coming in here for a late contest of the jungle on Vision. Yoshik is just going to be like, well, nice try, buddy.
I mean, he could like try to smite it, but yeah, Quantum's here, so Sponge actually gets the favorable damage trade, even with Quantum just hitting him over and over. And Sponge is in a really weird spot. Mid lane is trading at the same time, and eventually Sponge is like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't 1v2 on the enemy side of the map.
Kind of can't really get value out of your Jarvan passive in that kind of situation, so you're just tossing flags and be like, get out of here! Shoo! Get out of here, you pesky Nocturne! If Quantum had Root there, and rooted Sponge, it would be a different situation, but he didn't start that skill up, so at the end of the day, it just offers a little bit of poke. They do shoo that pesky Nocturne away. And that's that. It was kind of exciting for a second, but ultimately got a little bit boring. These are you know, I love League of Legends where it's like one team is going to try to dive, the other team is going to try to avoid getting dove and survive and do big damage, you know? We kind of had 2 games of that. But when you're in the Rise group and you get to game 3, sometimes you just go, well, I mean, anything could happen. We got 2 brawly compositions. We got Silas into a Galio Jarvan with Kai'Sa. And anything goes. It's going to be a bit of a game where sometimes the hands matter more than your prio. Sometimes your angles, your flank angles, mistakes you make really actually do matter.
Yeah. Sometimes the tempo vibes just kind of dictate where you're going, right? In a game like this, where everything's kind of on the line and it's Rise group and comps are similar, it's like, well, just let the vibes take you, I would say. That's my today's interpretation of Max's tempo vibes. We'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, right now I think it's a little bit unclear who has the tempo vibe. We'll find out soon, but at this moment in time, I couldn't tell you. I felt like in game 2, it was definitely DNF who had the tempo vibe, but I had a bad read, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to really get into the vibe to understand, like, I would say.
You see Ox, how he said he just had a hunch, right? He had a feeling it wasn't going to work out. They weren't going to play. Like, Ox knew the tempo vibe. He might not have even been aware that he knew the tempo vibe, but I think that was actually his understanding of tempo vibe in that moment, even though he didn't use the terminology.
He was just trying to allude to it without using the words, you know. Maybe he's worried that it's copyrighted already by Atlas. Makes sense.
Well, until he comes here and shows me the copyright document, I'm gonna kind of keep using it in his honor, to be honest. But
yeah, I mean, if it was already put in, like, if he copyrighted it, if he patented it, then, you know, even if we don't know, like, I don't think there's a clause in there that it's like, well, you need to let your coworkers know now. Maybe there is, I don't know. We should ask Chronicler, the lawyer here on the team.
Yeah,
he would know.
Avoids that taunt. Gonna trade, and that's the most exciting thing that's happened in this game since Nocturne annoyed a Jarvan.
Good play-by-play of the trade in mid lane, that was good.
I'm just practicing, you know.
All right, getting in there once again. Bulldog actually losing his end of the trade.
I don't know if I can ever live up to Azael being the duel guy, but occasionally I will talk about a trade when a camera pans by. That's about as close as I can get.
I feel like being a play-by-play is definitely a little bit more accessible, you know?
Back on my StarCraft day, we had 2 play-by-plays and 2 colors every time.
Yep.
You had to both be able to analyze, and both of them you had to be able to do the play-by-play, talk about them Vikings shooting at a Colossus.
I love the way you pronounce Colossus. Colossus.
But them stalkers trying to defend, though, you know, it was a different time.
That was a different time. But it was true. You had to be able to do both. I feel like in this era of League of Legends, though, you kind of do have to do both. I feel like, as well, especially for play-by-plays, you can't just sit around and, like, quote stats and just talk about narrative only the entire time. Like, you have to have some sort of insight, otherwise, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, obviously we've got two phenomenal play-by-plays here that are very invested in LCK history and strategy. And both have monikers that have the list at the end of them to dictate their ability to analyze, although one of them, VOD Analyst, a little bit more respected in the hybrid community.
Hey, Atlantis was good.
He's made a comeback. He explained tempo vibes incredibly well.
Yeah, I loved the PowerPoint.
And just because maybe VOD Analyst is a little bit more renowned doesn't mean that Atlantis can't catch him. You guys,
sure.
You guys gotta, you know, keep up, brush up on your stuff. Two guys who don't always do yelly stuff.
Yeah, I'm down for it. You know, we've been play-by-plays for a long time, so now it's time to start a new race.
Atlas right now is like double play-by-play for the fun. No, Atlas.
Atlas said, can confirm that Tempo Vibes are open source. So thankfully.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, anyone can use them.
Well,
to get into the law.
We haven't either of us really done a whole lot of analysis of what's happened in this
nothing's
game.
happened, Wolf.
They swapped, and it seemed like a slightly favorable swap for neither of them. Actually, it's dead even. Yeah. Renekton has been controlling the...
Yeah.
He's been controlling the Gragas matchup, but doesn't have a significant lead. Some plates did go over. So there's a small lead for Teddy. Both sitting at 69 CS.
Nice.
I was going to say, I'm not saying it. I already said it once today.
70. Yeah. Broke it.
Well, I mean, you got to keep going up.
Yeah. Nobody bought a call, though, so they're just going to continue being pretty much exactly even.
The tempo vibes, too, remain a complete mystery with a game state like this, you know?
Yeah. I think it's impossible to know. Like, maybe DRX have a little bit because they're kind of vibing after the win, you know? But it doesn't really, you can't really feel it, right? Because Yahoo sees everybody running at him at once, including the Nico clone, and he just elects to flash. Probably a good idea.
Yeah, the tempo vibe gauge like moved a little bit there, but not that much. As this is a level 6 Nocturne, and Quantum does not have his pop blossom. They need to be really respectful about the setup.
Oh, and Yahoo has Galio too, so he doesn't even have to take any risk. He can just sit in mid lane, wait. He doesn't have to face check anything, and he can just press ult when it's time. As now TP is coming in, Nocturne ult utilized. That's the knockup with the Lulu and the Nocturne. And there's the Galio ult from Yahoo. But now the counter engage is coming in. The first blood goes to Kaisa. Because now Teddy in a bunch of trouble. He has to run away. Gets cast and flagged to death by the Jarvan. And DNF respond excellently to the setup here of DRX on the Grubs.
Berserker here. Chased down by Rich, but he won't be able to do anything. He cannot follow further. Would put himself at risk. Wants so desperately to, you know, get a consolation back deny or a wave here, and that is not going to happen. So 3 kills now in the hands of the side of DNF, looking for their second win, the first win of the round, the second win of the tournament. As the setup looks fantastic, right? Nocturnal follow up here with the ultimate coming through from the Sylas. But there's just no real damage follow-up in this. Like, it's still early game Sivir. Teddy is then zoned and blasted. Taken out by the flag there ultimately. And the timing and the desync between the Nocturne ultimate and the speed at which we saw the arrival of Yahoo, I think was one of the big culprits there. But also Bulldog's initial taunt there was really nice to slow down the tempo. So they couldn't actually capitalize on that combo that looked really flashy, looked really cool, and then Teddy died. And that was the end of it. But it's 3 kills, 1,400 gold to lead. And, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I think especially in compositions where they're pretty similar in what they want to do, games can get very out of hand. And there's not a lot of commentators being like, oh, well, there's this win condition because they have the scaling and et cetera, as we were doing in Game 2, which didn't really come to fruition. But in this one, it's like... Yeah, I mean, they do have Sivir, but also they have, you know, Sylas Nocturne that's behind with Renekton. And that is going to become an issue fast, especially if Berserker continues to get fed.
The big issue I have for DRX, I mean, the gold is a significant problem for them. But the Nocturne targets here in this game are just not, we're not really swimming in them. And if Rich had a massive lead in this lane, which he had a small lead earlier, and you can see he still can be Renekton, but like if he was crushing this lane, if he had gotten resources early, if he was up a kill, which he's down a kill and down 300 gold in fact, and it's a catalyst on Dudu, so it's like really hard to actually out-trade him and then get kill pressure for a Nocturne, then maybe you could be like, oh, they play through that. You know, maybe the Silas steals an ultimate and Yehu joins as well, and they start bullying Dudu. Instead,
what's going on up here? Rich, yeah, he thought he was safe with his Nocturne hanging around. The second he backs, they go in, and Dudu kind of just sets it up by himself with the alley-oop dunk from Pioshik. And that is just DNF getting more and more wins.
did the kill go over to Pioshik with the flag? When they need to make a rune.
I thought he just autoed him.
I think it was just an auto, but like I wanted to make a new Hunter rune, Flag Hunter.
Look at the timing of this. The second he goes back to cast.
So horrible. And if he joins,
I think it was the flag.
Yeah, it looks like it might have actually been the flag. I think it actually was, based on how he turned around there.
Yeah.
But we need to make a rune for Flag Hunter, because he's got 2 in this game already. Can he get all 5, you know? To give him more flag cooldown.
Yeah.
More cooldown? Yeah, it needs to be like...
Longer?
Throw 3 flags at once. I mean, more cooldown reduction.
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
More ability haste.
Yes. Cooldown isn't a real thing in this game anymore.
No, we don't get hot.
Well,
so the tempo vibes are clear at this point, and I don't think we need to really discuss them anymore.
Yeah.
I think that the way back into this game for DRX, again outside of a mistake for DNF, or some DNF late game
shenanigans.
Yeah.
Hullabaloo.
You know, some poor decision making, some lack of judgment, is playing through this Sivir, Prio, and push, and Teddy getting big. That's the only way. And it's going to require getting some sort of objective to buy time. Here we go.
This is one way to maybe do it. Caught Galio is going to be feared up, but is pretty fast. With the phase rush, he gets over to Pioshik. And Pioshik is just here to essentially say, get away from my friends.
And this is why I'm saying it's a little bit hard to Nocturne ult anybody in this game, because everybody is just hard to kill. Like, if you get on top of a Kai'Sa, it means the team is mispositioned, right? She's going to be sitting back super far away, and then they could just peel for her so incredibly easily. This phase rush Galio also has a Jarvan nearby. If you're trying to catch a Jarvan, he's going to get out. I don't know if I really need to explain the Gragas situation. You just need to have better follow-up than that. You need to have a huge advantage, a lot of control to be able to get a pick like that. And they were somewhat desynced, right? Like, Bulldog was isolated, but not as isolated, I think, as DRX thought.
Yeah, absolutely. DNF just totally in control of this game at the moment. And we have another Hextech Soul. It's going to be a fun one for sure. I would not be surprised if, you know, under this amount of pressure, DNF, you know, they have looked good up until this moment in this series, but will they begin to crack? You know, because unfortunately that has been kind of the norm, where they've gotten leads in the past. They've won games. They've been able to do this and that, but sometimes when it comes down to the wire, they're not on the same page. I just hope that also Quantum, a guy that's played a lot in Challengers, but doesn't have as much LCK experience, can keep his head cool. Maybe use some cooldown there, although we don't have that anymore, to just hopefully keep himself afloat. And if they do, I mean, DNF, they're just in a really good spot. Very curious about the next Dragon fight, especially.
I am as well, as it is Hextech Soul again, and this is not favorable.
Yeah, I mean, Bulldog's just outplaying him. Yeah, who's just not hitting anything.
And like, it's not a 1v1, by the way.
Oohs and ahs from the crowd. The flash comes out, but the Cataclysm is there. Yehu with the Kingslayer staying alive. Do they have the damage? Is really the only question, and they do. Absolutely. As Pioshik comes over, and they secure themselves a kill. DRX will look to start up the Rift Herald in response.
Quantum is here with Flash ult. They're going to TP Richens. That should make it a little bit safer. I guess they will get away with this.
Yeah, let's see how they do. We do see a bit of damage coming in from Berserker and Quantum. They don't have to be there. Going in onto the Kai'Sa. The ult comes out and the flash, which is another reason why it's not the greatest target out of the 80 carry pool to go in on. Another great Wolf point, and they didn't get the eye. They were so focused on the engage, they didn't get the eye. and they just don't even know. Rich could have just gone over the wall. They just have no idea. And it's gone. Wow.
They'll find out soon.
Oof.
I got nothing.
That's gotta hurt.
I got nothing, Valdez. The vibes are real. I guess the tempo vibes said DNF are due in this one. Or maybe it's that it was a really rough trade for Yehu down there. Didn't respect the fact they didn't know where Pyosik was. Got outplayed by Berserker, and then top side, they just didn't have enough control, I'm afraid.
Well, if you've been an LCK caster long enough to know that the vibes are more real than whatever you just said.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Chronicler can try to deny them, or curses.
Yeah, it's a similar vein, rather.
Yeah. Maybe it's time for another Vayne cosplay from Woodid.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
Could be. You know, curses, I used to deny them. The don't get excited about KT thing. You know, Monty stated it long ago, and everyone kind of slowly accepted it. And I just was like, nah, come on, guys. Like, they're really good.
And you said, I will get excited about KT.
I did say that,
and then
with an expletive as well.
Yes.
And I learned quickly. I was once again duped by the curse of the Kwangdong mid-season collapse. I was like, that's not real. I'm going to put him in 4th place on my overreaction.
and then
it
was real.
It was real.
Yeah.
Came a bit early this year, but they're not collapsing in this series for now. For now.
Yeah, for now. I just, I'm excited about this fight over the Dragon. I do feel like both teams haven't done a great job of setting up for this. DRX have definitely done a better job. Here comes DNF.
This Jarvan first pick is getting work done, though. Like, Pyosik has had an incredible game. And even though you have this Lulu Sivir, so the Sivir has some inherent additional safety, I just don't think you get that much out of it yet. And with the game state, I don't know if you'll get to a point where Teddy is the Fountain Laser he wants to be in this game. When you see the Zeal double dagger, you're like, ooh, he's on his way. Does have the Yuntals. And you can see, like, DNF are like, your move, because whoever engages second has a huge advantage, I think, with these two comps, and DRX are going to start this up and try to be the first one to catch that engage.
Yeah, I mean, Pyosik's standing right here. Nobody's really doing anything. There's the Cataclysm on a Teddy, but the counter with the Paranoia, and the Redemption does come in. The cast hits that backline, but it's just looking like a bit of a Galio fest in here as the stolen Galio ultimate. Berserker's in a lot of trouble. The smite does go to DRX. But Yehu does get taken out. A very close fight at this point. Big taunt at the very end, but there it is, the kill from Pyosik. He finds his timing after Bulldog sets it up perfectly. And yes, DRX did get the Drake, but DNF get another fight win.
Teddy did so much in that fight, even without the Flicker Blade. We were talking about his inventory, his 5,000 damage, is able to do incredible work. Yehu is not able to connect his chains in the fight, but he's like, nah, I got this. I'm going to get in on top and take out that pesky carry, but unfortunately it's still not enough. Pyosik with 5 kills on this Jarvan in this game. Goes for Teddy here initially, then backs out when the Paranoia comes down. Look at Teddy here, gets cast forward, but he's gonna do a ton of damage actually as the Galio Fest, as you called it, happens there. And the chains don't connect. Teddy's like flashing in, I'm killing Berserker. And it looks for the moment here like, okay, this is a winnable fight. Like, it should be fine for DRX, but Teddy doesn't have flash bullet with his last breath. Gets the taunt, and that's the difference maker.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't get that taunt off, I think the fight could look completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that this Jarvan is huge is a really big deal. He has Cleaver done. Before 20 minutes, he is the carry in this game. Also, take a look at Dudu and his lead. Very close, very comparable to Pyosik's lead, which is kind of insane. And a nice little linear graph there from the side of DNF. They're able to get even more gold after the fight because they had the control on the map.
Teddy, I think, proves again in this fight, though, that Sivir is going to be a big menace in the late game. This lead is so significant for DNF that, again, you wonder if we'll get there, but that fight, if you're a DRX fan, gives you kind of some hope. Like, it was actually kind of playable. And now Yehu does have a big spike of picking up that Rift Maker. He is also getting closer and closer to that Rod of Ages completion, which will help his hijacks. And the 0 and 3 Sylas is not really where you want to be, but I think he's going to be a little bit more relevant And this comp does have insane brawling power for Teddy. As long as Teddy can sit back and do the damage and isn't forced to flash in to kill the enemy carry.
Yeah, I mean, these fights are just, they're a mess, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have Galio ults flying all over, the cask is thrown in, you know, like Piosik's going in, he's going out, he's going back in. We got Gragas and Renekton as well. It feels like everybody's got a dash. There's threats everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ifs, okay, in this situation where DRX do get the comeback win here. But there are ifs. there are possibilities. It's Rise Group.
Yeah, it's Rise Group, baby. Anything is possible. I'm a believer.
You know, Pioshik is here to say no ifs, ands, or buts, but here comes the engage with the Lulu ult.
Yeah, going in onto the Nico. Again, not the best target, but it's going to work. They're going to get Quantum.
If no one else is there, I guess eventually they get him.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe is the best target. I think actually the Nico maybe an easier target even than the Kai'Sa.
And they can actually TP the Sylas in. He gets the turret and will be able to join the fight. Contesting Otacon is going to be a big challenge here for DNF, but I think that DRX should look to reset and actually look for a better target before they actually commit to the Otacon itself. As Bulldog also has TP and ult. And in fact, he's just going to try to push mid. And as Yehu comes here, it looks like we're just peeling off entirely and will completely reset. So DRX got the gold from the kill onto Quantum, but didn't really gain anything else. They wanted much more. And in fact, it's DNF who now pulled the trigger here. Quantum has respawned, doesn't have his ult, but this is a really tough fight now without vision and no paranoia. I mean, the timing of this, when it comes back, I think the Otacon might just simply be gone.
Yep, it looks gone. I mean, Sponge is thinking about it, but you can see he's very hesitant. Now they're pushing in as a team, but they see the health bar and they're like, oh, we got to get out. Nope, 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 we're done with this. That's an Otacon given over for free, essentially, over to DNF. They want to take a fight. They're just diving here as Rich is blown to smithereens. And now we got Sponge jumping straight into the Galio and just dying. DNF are smothering this team, and it's not even close. 11-3, 12-3, as DNF take a huge fight after the Otacon.
And it looks like we may have a few more of these last chances left in DNF here in round 4. DNF crushing the fight, and they just knew those critical cooldowns are gone, namely the paranoia. And you can see how this fight looks. They're holding the Otacon, right? They look for the turn. And the dive just makes sense at this point. They're like, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to stop us here? Rich has his ult, but the fact that Quantum sacrifices himself there, well, I mean, he's caught, right? But his sacrifice is not in vain, and they can just follow up so easily. And then Paranoia comes back up, and they're like, well, where do we go with it? They ult onto a Galio, and it doesn't work. It's just desperation. The Lulu ult being down as well is another deterrent of that dive they just didn't have because it was used on that pick onto Quantum. And I think this is DNF closing this one out.
This is different from some of their other leads that they've had that have been like extreme late game. You know, they're pushing in, it's 40 minutes, it's been a grueling fight. They have so much momentum, it's very early on. Pioshik has 7 kills, like he's got nearly 3 items. He can do whatever he wants in this one. So in terms of the momentum, you know, maybe the gold lead is not quite as large as the one you saw them throw the last time out, but it hits much harder, let's just say.
I also just think the situation was completely different comps-wise in that last throw. Like, this time they have a comp that's pretty basic, straightforward. It hard engages, it kills.
All right, finding it, Quantum sets it up. Rich gonna take a bunch of damage. Now the Nocturne ultimate comes in. Pioshik taking a bunch of damage himself, but it doesn't quite matter as Teddy, frontlining, just dies. And that will be this Hextech Drake going over to DNF as well.
Like I said, you focus a target, you dive, they die. It's straightforward. And even if that target is a Renekton, you can make it work. Rich is a survivor, but Teddy is not. And so many resources used there in the attempted defense. Dragon goes over here for free. They do not break the base, but Baron is up. As this is how this breaks out again. Rich snared, Jarvan follows. And then Teddy walks forward here to try to capitalize on...
Flash, taunted.
Yeah. Oh, he tries to capitalize on the paranoia. He thinks that maybe with the paranoia cover, he can actually get in and do some ricochet damage. He's going for the high-risk play, but as you said, it's a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah, stuck to the Galio, and it's not what you want, a Sivir. Desperate for the kill. The turret also died at the same time. DNF, I said it before, they can kind of just do whatever they want. And at this point, you know, they could just go for Baron. I think they really got to play off this momentum and just make it clear that they are winning this game.
Yeah. Now, if Teddy has a 90-plus generic Green Wings game, maybe.
Sure.
But I think DNF should be able to break the base with this Baron. If they can secure it, they are playing very carefully, arguably almost too carefully here, but they want to push Sponge out. They have tons of vision around this pit. I mean, look at the Gragas angle. If anyone tries to contest, he just casts them in to the maw that is this insane lead.
Just collecting Yehu's flash over and over.
I think now they could just go to Baron and look for a turn.
I feel like they definitely should. Honestly, this little bit that we had up in the top lane, I don't think that was even necessary. And now they've gotten a ward down, which they had the pit cleared before, but now the ward is there. So DNF got to be careful.
I mean, they can paranoia in. This is actually a bit scarier than it should be.
It's just like full vision on the objective. So meanwhile, we got Teddy just by himself as in goes Sponge, but trying to flash, trying to get the smite down is not going to happen. The wallets are just too big. DNF are getting it done. Teddy just died by himself on the bottom side to Dudu.
They just could not get access. Wanted so desperately to, but Dudu just finds him, zones him out. He's so big on this Gragas. This takes the Sivir out directly.
The only question I have now, Wolf, is who's your POM?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Because everyone's had a role to play across multiple games. It might be Pyosik, to be honest. Like, his synergy with Berserker in the first game, but I don't know, man. With Berserker having this Kai'Sa performance, plus the fact that he just made Yunara look incredibly broken and untouchable, it might just be Berserker. I think both picks are viable. And, you know, a little LCK anecdote, I mean, these guys are incredibly close. And no matter what's going on with DNF, like, they're almost inseparable. Every time you see Pyosik, Berserker is likely with him, walking around the arena. And you can just feel the synergy there. As this is just Teddy getting blasted on the side.
Gragas.
Yeah, big boy gonna do big damage. The Sponge comes in here looking for an opportune steal, but it's a nice hold on the damage there, as Odin's got to be proud. And I think the hype looks low here in the coaches' booth, because I think they knew, A, that this game was likely over a long time ago, and B, maybe there's still a little fear about that famed loss to Bro.
One of the coaches said something and the whole crowd laughed, but we couldn't quite hear it, so I am curious what was said. If anyone out there knows, please let us know.
Yeah, it might have been like Chunchunny Hail, like play it slow or something like that. I don't know.
Because it's like 12,500 gold and they're worried maybe. Honestly, that's fair. But again, this is a very different feel. A very different vibe even to the game that they threw.
They are certainly crossing their T's, dotting their I's and J's with this like bulldog top push to look for third inhibitor.
Dotting their O's as well, potentially, depending on language.
Yeah, potential umlaut situation. A's as well as an accented I, even.
How about an accented E?
What about an accented C? Accented N? Maybe they're flipping an exclamation mark.
All right, going on in. Only going to catch the Nocturne here, but the cask is huge. And I think the Wallets have just got the job done here, as it's not the cleanest dive. Dudu actually getting pretty low. Teddy running around a little bit. They got to be careful, but the flash on in, and that is why you pick Jarvan into Sivir, because she cannot run away. And down he will go. Teddy, the last hope of this team here, DRX, look to be the second team to fall to DNF here at the LCK 2025. And DNF, after months of losing, it looks like they have finally figured it out. They have finally been able to put it together and get a victory here once again.
Quantum looks relieved. He steps in. He steps up. Berserker having a night out. And D and Freaks keep the candle of that hope alive. Playing still attainable. It would take an incredible miracle, a story that you couldn't even write a script for a film to make it there. But step by step, this was step one. It was only a +1. They wanted a +2. They wanted a 2-0. But it will not be theirs tonight. Even so, a very clean set of wins. Both of their wins extremely dominant. And they had a great draft even in the loss. This is a different look for a team that, until before today, I think most people thought were just down and out.
You know who actually predicted DNF was Degon. Shout out to him. He expected the second win of the entire year in LCK for DNF to happen right here. As you can tell the fans beginning to get emotional. It's hard not to when, you know, it's been such a hard road for these guys. Every single day we come in and cast them and we're just like, oh God, I don't want to see them losing again. It's just so painful. As already we got fans crying. But today is a day of happiness. As Bull Mom, she comes down every day.
Every time.
Every loss, she was here.
Every single one. And you know, there may be those out there saying, well, it was still a 2-1. It was still only DRX.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy, because this means so much. This might be This might be the way these players climb out of the hole. This might be the momentum that makes this whole team look different. And even if they don't make that play-in stage, the rest of the season becomes a whole lot more interesting. Watching this team becomes a whole lot more interesting, a lot more fun. And teams like DRX and Bro, who still have to go through this team, Bro nearly losing a game to them last week, DRX losing here, are trying to fight their way into play-ins as well. And this team could definitely be a new dark horse to play spoiler at least, and to be potentially the ones that pull that gap between D+ and B and K away from Bro and DRX. So a new character, to a certain extent, it feels like has emerged here. Like, we saw a transformation tonight for sure.
Yep, we absolutely did. It's going to be really cool to see if they can keep the streak going, create a streak for the first time. They get 2 wins, and number 2 comes tonight. Number 3 could be on Sunday against D+ Kia. It's going to be a hard match.
I don't think it's impossible, you know? As someone who was the only one, on our side at least, that predicted B and K to beat D+.
Yeah.
I did not, in fact, predict DNF, and even after watching this, I wouldn't. But it feels a lot more up in the air, or at least like kind of hovering above the ground. This was Pioshik's game. Obviously, Berserker had a pretty good game here, and his Yunara was amazing. But I think Berserker will end up picking up the palm. But man, Pioshik, he said first pick Jarvan. I was like, I don't know about that. They picked the Sivir into it, which empowered it, to be sure. But
yeah, that was interesting.
I think I feel a little bit less bad about first pick Jarvan when it's played like this and when the synergy is there, because that's the transformation we're talking about. I think maybe people who tune in late might be like, well, I mean, they won, so what's the transformation? They just beat DRX. No, this team actually coordinated today. They actually were shot calling. They were playing as a unit.
I love Wolf's imitations of that chatter.
I know they're out there.
They exist.
Don't be that chatter. Unless you're a DRX fan, but then you're kind of disparaging your own team, so I don't know. Maybe don't be that no matter what.
Yeah. I do agree. Let's listen in to the winning moments. We don't get a lot of these.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah, the comms seem a lot more organized. A little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a step up, okay?
Yeah, it's a win.
And I think these types of moments and this type of end kind of explain themselves. I really want to see if there's like clapping or a pop-off.
Quantum does.
Nice big bros.
Big bros. Dude, look at that damage.
AP Gragas.
Big fella's got a big damage bar. And to be fair, you know, he really did. Especially that moment where he just assassinated Teddy. Like, what can't the AP Gragas do? I do wonder if teams will take a look at that and be like, huh, Gragas does seem pretty strong. I mean, yes, this was a stomp, but just the way he handled lane and just got to do whatever he wanted was pretty good.
Incredibly negative chatter does have a small point in that the draft was rough for DRX in this one, but I just want to celebrate Berserker, his first palm of his career, 100 points on
finally
the board.
get to see his palm pose.
Yeah.
You know, just taking a little nap.
He can finally rest! No, he can finally sleep easy.
It's so true. It's way too accurate. Like, when he made that pose, he didn't know it was going to be a 1-in-21 until the 2-in-21 season, so.
I think DRX got to go back to the drawing board with drafts a little bit. Teddy can't just pick Sivir no matter what and carry everything. You will have to have a little bit more depth than that.
I mean, this felt like a perfect Ezreal game, too. Like, if they just picked other things, but, yeah. You know, hindsight is 20/20, And maybe he assumed that he could handle the Jarvan. I mean, if they didn't get this far behind, maybe they just shred the Jarvan, right? So different situation could have occurred, but DRX did not play out this game very well, and DNF looked really good. They actually looked like a contender. Just wish that it didn't
Should have come early. Yeah, it should have come earlier.
Yeah, too late, too little, too late. You know, sometimes when it's too late, that's when you get back on the horse. We got the interview now. Let's jump into that right now.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Steer for the POM interview translation, joined by Berserker on the side of DN Freaks, who got their second win after 88 days. Berserker, congratulations. It was not an easy journey. You escaped such a long losing streak. How do you feel? I feel like it's been a long time since I got back on the stage for the interview, and I feel a little nervous. And in the process of our losing streak, even before the season ended, we really wanted to get another win, and honestly, it's so pleasant to get another win. And I hope that we're able to keep it up and finish the season strong. Yeah, until today, it must have been so challenging for your team. So what did you guys do to bring the team spirit up? You know, in the last week's match, we won, and we lost that one match in a very impossible way. So in the end, we had some players swap, and after a long time, we were able to win. So I'm really grateful that we were able to get back on pace. And yeah, Quantum, after 1 year, is back on the LCK stage as a starter, and with not much time to build bot synergy. What did you focus on practicing? Honestly, throughout the practice, I was wondering if this is the right thing to do. But as we were able to play on stage, I think even when our opinions clashed, I think just trying even harder to stay on page actually made us stronger as a team. In Game 1, you guys confidently picked Yunara as the R1 pick, and it looked like there was high priority over her, so what strength did you discover during practice? I only played Yunara in scrims twice, but when I played, her laning phase is actually really strong, and even in the early game, you do pretty well, and she's very, very good at maintaining her power spike, so I felt like she was definitely high up on the tier list. Yeah, this was a pick that you guys were taking, even giving up Wukong, Gwen, and Aurora, so is it just that valuable? Yeah, I think our top had to really tank that hit for me to play Yunara, and I think our mindset was that Yunara has to carry and win the game. And then in Game 3, you guys got Jarvan as the B1 pick, so what was the team's impression of J4? Just looking at the overall picture, it looked like J4 would be a lot more supportive for helping the bot lane out, so I think we really wanted to get that Jarvan pick first and then finish the rest of the comp around the Jarvan. And your Game 3, you guys really took your time to close it out. And your next opponent will be D plus Kia. What are your goals for the remaining matches? As much as our fans already know, I feel like our team is really strong mechanically, but obviously we seem like we're underperforming just based on our result. So I really want to make sure that we're able to showcase that we can actually show up. And I want to make sure to prepare even harder to win in our next upcoming match. And of course, one of the reasons you were able to win today was all of your fans here on site cheering for you. And there were fans who were shedding tears even. So would you like to say anything to your fans? Well, first of all, I think the only thing I can say is thank you. Thank you so much for always having our back and supporting us. Despite all the losing streak, they always tell us not to give up. And that's what really gives us the energy to even get the win today. So I want to make sure that we're able to pay the support back by showing up in the future. Congratulations once again, and that's the end of the interview with Berserker. And back to the space. Thank you.